Poorer nations, especially those in Africa, have been hit disproportionately hard by fallout from climate change, which has aggravated drought and flooding despite being least responsible for carbon emissions. On the sidelines of the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, where climate change is a major topic, Ruto said time was ripe for a paradigm shift.
We are saying the same financial setup today, or financial system today, favors the emitters. It favors those who pollute. They get development finance cheaper than we do. Those of us who are not emitters are being punished for not being emitters. We are paying an arm and a leg. We are paying 100 times more than our compatriots in the global north. And that is why we are saying we need to redesign. We need a new system that understands, that is accountable, that makes those who have brought us here to the climate crisis that we have, the emitters, the polluters, they need to be held to account, so that an accountable system that doesn't punish the least polluters and doesn't reward the most, those who pollute the most, a system that works for everybody. And we are not asking for any favors. We are not asking for a system that favors us. We are asking for a system that is even.
To balance politics, and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has declared that government appointments and contracts are a preserve of those who voted for Kenya Kwanza government, and that the Kenya Kwanza government will reward its staunch supporters and those who toiled to put the current government in office and give least considerations to members of the opposition.
Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Yule ambaye alipanda atafanya nini? Simulipanda, simuliamuka mapema, mukasema mutaki kusikia mambo ya ile system na nini, mukainvest, mukapanda, mukapalilia, mukaweka mbolea, mukamwagilia maji, wakati ya kuvuna ndio huu.
Speaking in Kericho, the DP said it is laughable that some members of the opposition had started trooping to State House seeking government positions, further adding that even though the government will serve all Kenyans, it is fair to reward its supporters with government appointments.
Najua wengine wananikashifu ati mimi nasema ati wale walipanda wavune kwanza. Iko makosa? Iko makosa? Hata hao watavuna, lakini wangoje. Si wale walipanda na wavune kwanza. Wakishavuna wavune, ile tabaki kidogo, wale wakupanda waingie, watafute huko nini, ile itapatikana wachukue wakwende. Si iko namna hiyo? Na itakuwa namna hiyo.
He said he is the self-appointed guardian of State House and will ensure that all those who did not support Kenya Kwanza are locked out of all government plum positions. He said those who voted the other way must learn a lesson about elections.
Hii kura iko na maana. Nyinyi hamwezi piga kelele huko, mpige kelele. Mnasema William Ruto ni bure, hawezi, mnaita yeye majina, alafu akipata, akigawa, mnapiga laini ati mko pale mbele. Ati mnataka mpite wale walisema anafaa ati mkue pale mbele. Inawezekana? Mimi kazi yangu pale kwa ikulu ni hiyo. Ni kupanga hiyo laini. Hapo ni kazi mimi napanga hapo. Mimi naangalia kwa laini, nikiona wewe ulipanda, natoa wewe nyuma, napeleka wewe mbele. Nikiona wewe hukupanda na kutoa na kurudisha nyuma, ufanye nini? Niendelee na hiyo kazi ama niwache?
The Wiper Party says it is fully in support of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition's ongoing nationwide rallies, in which the coalition's leader Raila Odinga has been mobilizing supporters to oppose the Kenya Kwanza government. In a statement of a 2-day retreat in Naivasha, Musyoka said Wiper remains in Azimio and backs the public engagement forums.
The executive has made many attempts to divide the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. They have openly used public institutions and public resources to entice individual members, quote unquote, in the name of development, to break ranks with their political parties. They have systematically tried to erode all the gains of multi-party democracy under our Constitution 2010 and take this nation back to one-party state. We, the leaders of the Wiper Democratic Movement, want to emphasize that we will not allow this country to retrogress to the dark days of the one-party state.
And a police officer attached to the Awendo police station has been arrested for shooting dead his colleague at within the crucial infrastructure protection unit Amri area in Awendo sub-county. The suspect was identified as Sulubu, allegedly shot dead his colleague Elijah using an AK-47. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes.
And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
Yeah.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Have you seen them? Am I lying?
Yes, it's a very nice outfit, I must say. Good
Thank
job.
you. Asante sana.
The compliment is well received.
Good morning and thank you. Everyone was asking me, what channel is Spice FM?
96.7. Tell them that, right?
Yes, now they know.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have
What
you.
a beautiful studio, my friend.
I've been to other radio stations, but I've never seen anything like this.
Thank you, and it's very nice to be in a modern studio. Absolutely brilliant.
And I have to say, it's a very cool ambiance here in your radio room. Just for our listeners, I think it is below zero in this room here.
It's another week and looking at situations on the road this morning. Welcome to Monday and let's see what's going on the Thika Superhighway. Not much in terms of traffic. That's free and clear. Looking to get into the city in 5 minutes. You can do it. If you're at the Pangani underpass, you have a little bit of a hold up, but it's not going to be anything crazy. Let's look coming out of Westlands. Waiaki Way is looking pretty good as it is on James Gishuru. Mombasa Road, you have a little bit of traffic this morning because right around General Motors for the 147th millionth time, they are fixing that area right around the turnaround. So I don't know, maybe, who knows, we'll see. I don't know. But they said they'll leave there by 6, but as of 6, that hadn't quite happened. So, knock on wood and all those good things. Let's see what happens in about half an hour when traffic is likely to pick up in Nairobi and other parts of the country. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Talk to us there. Let's keep things moving this Monday.
Spice FM, Nyeri. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is
Good
the
morning.
Situation
How are
Room,
you doing?
the
Welcome
only way to
Monday,
start your day.
20th day of February 2023. After a long weekend comes a short week. Ndio?
Yeah.
Otherwise, uko fiti?
Mimi niko poa.
Very good.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Niko poa. Tujaribu. Nashukuru Mungu.
Tuko tu sasa, tutaenda wapi? Sasa wewe ukiangalia, where are we going?
Hey.
City?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm actually very well. Yes. This had an eventful weekend.
Right.
For the first time in a minute.
Last year.
Last year, Tena.
No.
Okay, sorry.
I'm a storyteller.
Sorry.
Surely.
Endelea.
The gentleman with whom I began Form 1 celebrated our 50th year from the time we joined Form 1. Up to that point in time, 50 years had gone by.
50 years since you joined Form 1.
Since you joined Form 1, it was 50 years. It has been 50 years.
Yes, this is just a brief education in history.
And it was still called Form 1.
I'm supposed to be greeting you with some serious respect.
Go on.
You just keep talking to me carelessly. It's okay. You're accustomed to it. On Saturday.
So last year, you
we
celebrated 50 years
yes. Now,
since you joined secondary school.
Yes. There was a class that was below us, the one who came after us. When we went from 2, they went from 1. Now, they were celebrating their 50th year this Saturday.
Okay.
So they invited me. I also happened to be the chairman of my year group.
Right.
Okay. So I was invited. But I wasn't the only one invited. These are people who organize themselves differently. They also invited the person who was, I think, the chairman of the class below theirs.
Right.
Okay, a gentleman by the name of David Kabiberi. Now, this gentleman didn't turn up. He had commitments. I had commitments. I turned up. Okay? I made that a commitment.
Yes.
Okay? But again, it was interesting to listen to people talking about their lives, what they've done, how they've gone about it, what has happened over the years. But significant also the number of people who have passed away since.
Yes.
Now, the thing that I found of peculiar interest is how it is when you meet with people who are close to you in age, the years fall off.
You become young again.
Immediately you are in your infancy. The way you talk to each other, the things you say, the way you go about saying the things you're saying, it's like all the little nicks and knacks and breaks that you've applied in life as now as an adult and as a senior citizen, those things just fall off and you become a boy.
Right.
That's beautiful. Actually, it's really beautiful, I think.
But I have to thank the managing committee and the admins of that particular group who saw the need to invite me. I'm going to mention them by name. Mwange Maingi, Eric Mwandia, Mac Kigada, and Washira Waruru. Now these people...
So those were
they're the people who admin. They don't have one admin.
Form 1 Lenana School in 1973?
Yes, I joined in 72. So they're the ones who said, no, bring this old man. Now, it was very strange for people to keep saying, Senior, what do you think? And I told them, guys, listen, I was one class ahead of you.
Yeah, you monolized them.
I mean,
you monolized them.
We didn't.
They remember.
Eric, when you're in Form 2, you are not any better than the Form 1s. Just slightly better. Slightly. Slightly.
If it's January, just a month shy of
yes,
Form
you were treated like the Form 1s, more or less.
Yeah, but you treated the Form 1s differently. They needed to know that you are not in Form 1.
Eric has a point.
Right?
But believe me, the other seniors treated the same, so much so. you just focus on staying alive and surviving. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, but the class of David Kabiberi is now felt your presence.
They are the ones who were below. No.
So they joined Form 1 when you were in Form 3.
No, those ones felt it.
Those ones.
Oh,
now
no. Those ones, they knew. They knew. They knew. And we never let them forget. For them, they knew.
All right. Okay.
How was your weekend, Eric?
My weekend was, I got into the weekend intending to make it a busy weekend because I have a lot of work to do. Then I got into the weekend and I bummed.
That's the spirit.
So I'm starting the week with a lot of work to do.
Sometimes not so bad to, put a pin in it.
No, sometimes the payment.
When they come due.
Where?
No, you see, those of us who bum literally all our weekends. Because me, I do absolutely nothing. And I purpose it that way.
Yes. Anyway, welcome everybody to Kenya's biggest conversation. So we're here, all of us, including Edna. She's back. She was away on
Guess
Friday.
Who's back?
Edna.
Edna's back. Guess who's back? Okay.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Edna's back.
That's
Edna's
right.
back.
That's
Edna's
right.
back. Okay, let me tell you what we'll be discussing today from 7 a.m. all the way to 9 o'clock. So, we have seen what's been happening. The president has been meeting with members of the Azimio coalition, particularly those from Jubilee and those from ODM, Nyanza region. And in fact, the delegation that went and met the president from ODM, Nyanza region, since then they've had several meetings. They have met with the Minister for Transport. They have met with Minister for what? Just discussing projects in Nyanza region. Yeah, it's about development. Sio siasa. Now, we are going to be joined by the MP for Navaholo constituency, who's also the chairman of the Parliamentary Investment Committee on Social Administration, Health and Agriculture. The Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe will be here with us at 7 a.m. to talk about, does this Azimio coalition stand any chance of survival? Does it? He'll tell us what he thinks at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock. So we've seen appointments left, right, and center by the president and his ministers into either boards, into positions, several positions in government. Now the president has been given a go-ahead. Now the Public Service Commission has been given a go-ahead to continue with the recruitment of chief administrative secretaries. Not the president, it's a Public Service Commission. Let's be clear, all right?
Okay.
Isaac Mora, a former nominated senator, will be joining us at 8 o'clock to talk about the Kenya Kwanza appointments. Are they getting the appointments right? Are they appointing the right people to the right positions? And then at 9 o'clock, let's talk about the cost of living and the crisis and the political ramifications. Let's never forget that we have a cost of living crisis. We have a drought situation in the country. We've got all these things. Peter Mushendo, engineer Peter Mushendo, a governance expert, and Calvins Okoth, who's called Gaucho. Gaucho is the president of Bunge la Mwananchi. Those two gentlemen will be with us at 9 a.m. Talk about what? Beyaunga. Tell us about COVID.
All right, let's look at COVID numbers. Around the world, 678,691,949. Numbers haven't changed so much in the last 4 or 5 days. We're still looking around about the same numbers. The AU summit, which is underway, leaders, African leaders specifically, are calling for routine immunization. This is coming off of the face of COVID, where there were several conversations that took place after the first talks of a vaccine being available. And it was very clear then in terms of, allocation on a global scale where African countries lie. And so during this summit, a lot of leaders, we heard from Sierra Leone, we heard from Senegal, we heard from Ethiopia, we heard from quite a number of other countries. And they said, you know what? COVID showed us that we need an opportunity where we're at the table, not under the table waiting for the crumbs to fall off and hoping that the people under the table will have something to eat. But they're saying then it is very clear for all diseases for which vaccination is needed, for all new diseases like we've seen with COVID, for anything futuristic, we need to make sure that we are at the table. And he was very clear now, specifically the president of Sierra Leone, this is Julius Maada Bio. He said, look here, we cannot continue to be in a place whereby we have our begging bowls out. if we're going to achieve the SDGs, for example, we need returns on investments. We need to make sure that our immunization achievements actually are very, very high. So they said, look, there are persistent bottlenecks in vaccine and healthcare delivery systems, especially in the poorest, vulnerable, and most marginalized communities, and talked about the fact that we need to get the percentages up there in terms of availability. So that was interesting. It's interesting that that still took, quite some time, and it took center stage even at the AU summit. So that's what it looks like with that. Marie-Pierre Poirier, who is the regional director for UNICEF in West and East Africa, said children were missed by immunization services. They're more likely to experience limited or no access to health, nutrition, education, and other social services. With strong political will and increased investment in essential services for children, including immunization, we can accelerate progress towards the Immunization Agenda 2030, the African Union's Agenda 2063, and the Global Sustainable Development Goals 2030 to ensure a safer, healthier, and more prosperous Africa for its children and for all.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like.
That's how it looks like. All right, 21 after 6. You're online, we can see you. But if you're not yet logged on, please do. Let us know where you're tuned in from. After we take a look at the weather forecast, we shall be doing our usual roll call. Your name, where you're locked in from this morning, and wishing everybody a happy Monday.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one. In a give, Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Samakuwa Mocha. Toast to luxury. In a give, single Cassie, girl power. Cheers! And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Having any fun yet?
Woo! In a give Kupindukia. So subscribe now to get
highs of 28 and lows of 15. It's partly cloudy at 13 in Nakuru. We'll see highs of 30 today and lows of 12. 28 will be the high in a clear at Nyeri at 11, and we'll see clear conditions through Eldoret today, currently at 12, going to highs of 27. It's partly cloudy at 25 in Mombasa, highs of 34 and highs of 32, I beg your pardon, and lows of 24. And we'll see highs of 31 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 26. It's 20 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 34, and it'll go to highs of 33 in a partly cloudy in Kakamega at 19. It's 21 and partly cloudy in Kampala, highs of 29, and Dar es Salaam will see highs of 31. Currently at 27. Looking into Johannesburg, it's clear at 16, highs of 24, and we'll see highs of 34 in a hazy Lagos at 27. It's 22 and mostly cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 31, and it'll come back down to lows of 22. Monday afternoon reads 3 and sunny in Beijing, highs of 8 and lows of -6, and we're looking at really early morning Paris at 3 degrees and partly cloudy with highs of 13. We're looking at the same in London at 7, highs of 14, and Sunday night in New York is clear at 7, coming into Monday, highs of 10 and lows of 6.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Mornings. Who is awake?
Dana Tuti says, good morning. Good morning, Eric, Ndu and CT. A good Monday. When the sun will rise and we shall try again. Indeed, another opportunity for you to go and knock them out of the park, my friend. Good morning to you. Busia is following. Sir Bramo Bokekedi is saying good morning. Good morning. Jacob says, good morning. Nice to hear you all again. Evans Nyang says, I like that motivation highlight. It has been imbibed very well. Okay. He says, good morning, SpiceFM, Nduoko, CT Muga, and the great Eric Latif. Eric the Great.
It's what Amlioto has posted there. If at first you don't succeed, try.
Oh, voila. He says, you guys are amazing. You're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, fellas. Oh, okay, Francis Mwindi, good morning to you. Esther Thati says, good morning. Andrew Franklin is reminding us this is the first anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
It was today.
My time does go quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Jacqueline Waithira was awake very early this morning and is suggesting that we have Maggie coffee on the show. All right. Something to look at, that's for sure. You know who Maggie Coffee is? Okay. Good morning, great people. Ndu Eric and CT. This is Peter Wagongo. He says he's tuned Paka Mwisho, and he's in the city centre this morning. Simon Viamba says there's no rain in Magarini. Oh, okay, that's your good morning. Esther Fati, we've seen you. Locked in from Vihiga is where Tom Reyes is. Shix Leslie says hello and good morning. Ondicho tuned in from Mwingi, and in Busia is where Silas Awar is. Good morning, Libon CT. Libon.
Good morning.
She said something else there in Latin that Missy Elewi.
Read it.
Nihil
Preta optima.
Thank you very much. We are the best, but please don't tell them Chebukati is our product.
That's a good thing.
Has he not just said it himself?
Exactly. Paul Ntaia says, good morning from Narok East. Love Narok, honestly, I must say. Daniel Jamhuri says he's tuned in. Good morning to you. James Kimanzi is tuning from Nyali, Mombasa. Good morning, Nawakilisha Show Nikiwa Industrial Area. What exactly does Nawakilisha mean?
Representing.
Oh, voila. Okay. And that is Moyo Moyo says good morning. Zachary says, hi, guys. Well, hi, Guy. Hope your weekend was blissful. Okay. Now, my petition to the Almighty God. Even though you've joined the prayer warriors, well done. Lord, we have been by the seaside far too long waiting for our healing. May this week be our turn to miracles, blessings, and healing. May rains come back to cool and green our beautiful land. Amen. Okay, Zachary. Streaming live from Mombasa is where Alhaji is. Bondet Sauset. Where? That's where Bondet Sauset. That is where Tony Rono is this morning. Beaches and Kenya is tuned in. Amos Freeman tuning from Kimilili. From Melbourne, Australia, with love, Sir Calvin Ochieng. CK Karusinoko Kakamega is where he is. Steve Paul is tuned in from Embakasi this morning. Hillary Kip Kemboya, beg your pardon, is tuned in. Dennis is listening in from Kapenguria. So many people online this morning. Gotta say, Mutuma Marimba has posted a picture of somebody we assume is himself and says, Eric. Well, he's greeted all of us, but then specifically said, Eric, twende mlima weekend kuliko kubam Castle Forest. Okay, I think he says we go to Castle Forest instead of you bumming. Not that he's bumming at Castle Forest. Do you see how sentence, commas and periods make a difference? Okay. So he says you guys should go to that castle. So many more people online this morning. Monis Janeth tuned in from Singapore. Good morning to you. Everybody. Karibuni sana. Santi sana.
City?
Yes.
The day's proverb.
Yes, this week we are going to be just next door.
Next door to what?
Next door to Kenya.
Okay.
Country of Tanzania.
All right.
Okay, question number 1. What is the capital of Tanzania?
What is the capital of Tanzania?
Or which is the capital of Tanzania? Or where is the capital of Tanzania?
What capital? Commercial capital or political capital?
Capital of Tanzania.
Dodoma.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
And what's Dar es Salaam?
Dar es Salaam is the other capital. Port City.
Port City.
Port City,
capital. Yes, but it wasn't always just a port city. It was capital at some point.
It was capital before the administration was moved to Dodoma.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Right. These probably they're really all very interesting. There's one particular one which puzzled me, and that's the one I'm going to start with.
Okay.
Where trees are, there are masons.
Where trees are,
yes,
there are masons.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure that out in Swahili.
I, as you can see, thought about it and was puzzled.
Where trees are, there are masons.
Unless the word in Swahili for masons, is it all encompassing? Does it include carpenters, masons, everybody? Because if it does, then you could say trees provide wood, which is the material that this person needs to work. N'est-ce pas? So is the word for mason, does it now encompass everything? Carpenter, plumber, everybody? as one.
It would be interesting because, like Edna is whispering to my ear, there's a Swahili proverb that goes, palipo na miti hapakosi wajenzi.
What's Wanyenzi?
Wajenzi.
What's Wajenzi?
Not Washenzi.
Okay, what's Wajenzi? The people who
Builders.
build. Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Could be. It covers everybody. People who build are masons, they're carpenters, they're etc. etc. So if you're looking at wood from trees, right? And that's what your material. So if I need it and I see
where there are trees, there'll be builders.
Yeah.
That would make sense. The mason one it could be cryptic, something they're saying. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Shall we quickly look at the newspaper headlines?
All right, just do a headline brief. Yeah, sure.
Mm.
Ruto takes on World Bank, IMF over loans on the front page of the Standard. President asks lenders to lower rates of borrowing in line with climate change initiatives since the current setup favors the West, who are the worst polluters, and punishes African countries that are climate change conscious. This was said at the AU summit, of course. This is very interesting. There is an op-ed today by Collins Oyu. Who is Collins Oyu? Do you know who he is? He's Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers.
Okay.
The quote is, the education sector is in a mess, considering first the inconsistent and unclear policies on implementation of the competency-based curriculum.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
He is telling us this. We'll look at that later. Focus shifts to polls integrity after hacking claims. There's also a story here about women and politics in Nigeria. Nigerian election takes place in a week now, on Saturday, actually 5 days. On the front page of The Nation, Ruto goes silent on state capture and 2022 poll probes. Okay. Big class divide in junior high still continues to be a point of concern. There's teacher shortage, there's congestion in classes, facilities are inadequate, and training also for teachers that lack skills in the CBC is still a problem. That's on the front page of The Nation. Rebel MPs to form anti-Raila Liberation Group. Oh my gosh. All right. On the back page of The Nation, manufacturers protest as cartels import cooking oil. That's an interesting one because, all right, what do you have but a choice but to
So
import?
manufacturers are protesting because cartels are importing
oil.
Okay.
But you've got to ask also, what is the capacity of the local manufacturers to produce the oil that is needed in the country? We'll look at that story later. It's interesting. It's already becoming a bit of a flash in a pan.
Let me tell you about the Business Daily quickly. The Supreme Court is due to rule on whether the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury should approve before banks increase their lending rates. Okay? This is because Court of Appeal judges allowed Stanbic Bank to seek clarity from Kenya's highest court over Section 44 of the Banking Act that requires lenders to seek the approval of the Cabinet Secretary before increasing, listen to this, the rate of banking. So now banks have gone to the Supreme Court and they're saying, can you tell us, ladies and gentlemen of the Supreme Court, whether rate of banking is equivalent to lending rates? Are they the same? The banks argue that rate of banking is in reference to bank charges, like if you want ATM charges, wire transfer charges, account maintenance charges, blah, 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 blah. That's what they say. Banks are saying those ones, if we want to increase the amount of money that we charge for, ATM withdrawal, we have to go to the Cabinet Secretary. But lending rate, that's different.
Okay.
That's different. So the Supreme Court is due to rule on that. Interesting one, right? Here's another one. Brother Paul Kamlesh Patni, remember him? A company associated with him has been allowed to pursue its claim over 8.84 billion shillings paid to Central Bank as deposit for botched purchase of Lyco Regency in 1997. The Supreme Court allowed Westmont Holdings, which is a local agent of Malaysia-based Linwood Development Limited, to pursue the claim at the Court of Appeal after the firm was stopped in 2017 from doing so on failure to deposit 20 million shillings in court before proceeding with the suit. With the annual court interest set at 12%, the CBK could be forced to cough out 8.84 billion shillings based on compounding interest and exchange rate losses should the top court rule in favor of Kamlesh Patni's company. City? Okay, there are some other headlines. There's Treasury CS Jogon Ndongo is facing a headache over how to repay Kenya's debut Eurobond that comes due in June next year, with his options being limited by high global interest rates and the country's shrinking dollar reserves. So we took the Eurobond, we were very happy. Its maturity is next year. Yeah.
Where maturity means there's something we have to pay, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's how it works out, doesn't it?
Live by year, yes.
In the star, the right-hand corner, green. Not tail, green. MP Koseng's chopper grounded as police probe links to banditry.
Oh, no. Grounded because it's not working, or grounded because the police want to make sure
it's a crime scene.
MP Koseng's chopper grounded as police probe links to banditry. Okay? Now, the questions you ask will be answered if we look at this matter in greater detail.
Right.
Now, headline, bang in the middle. Raila's confounding political game plan. Puzzling. Even close allies are not sure about the ODM leader's endgame. Azimio has held over 10 rallies since January and visited 7 counties. Stories on page 4 and 5. Now, at the bottom, interesting story here. 4 years from now, for 4 years now, agony of forest evictees living in Bungoma caves. Over 100 families in Bungoma County are living in caves after the eviction from Mount Elgon Forest by the government 4 years ago. Yes, so that I would mention.
Wow.
Tell the story. Now, malaria upsurge fears as new mosquito invades the country. The new mosquito, apparently from Eastern Asia, called Anopheles stephansi, and it's saying it has come in, and it's likely to give the malaria infection a new boost. So we expect the situation to be a little more calamitous than it actually is currently.
Is it found mostly in the same region as the other one, or is it?
It's come to Kenya.
In the same areas. Yeah, where the other Anopheles is. Okay.
Now, those who study mosquitoes will now tell us how they're going to relate. Whether their cousins will welcome their cousins from yet another country.
They should fight.
And may the victor win.
Right.
Yes.
One annihilate the other.
So there's an invasion by a new mosquito species.
And this is our turf.
This is our turf. We should do like America. We should donate drones and such other weapons to our mosquitoes.
We like these ones.
To fight off these
surface to air missiles.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's 22 minutes to 7. Let's take a quick one. Take a look at the traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM.
There it is. There's traffic on Jogo Road this morning heading out towards Landis and then on to Kamkunji out towards Haile Selassie. That looks like the most of it, except until you get to the Thika Superhighway. And just like that, there's traffic bumper to bumper from that to Tally Drift out towards the Pangani underpass. We're looking at it building up on Kiambu Road, and then look at James Gishuru, trying to play with his big brothers on the Thika Superhighway and saying, Jam, I got it, because you do. It's spilling over towards Waiyaki Way, and quite some of it this morning. We'll see that going out towards the city real quick. All right, coming off of the Eastern Bypass as well. There is traffic going towards the whole Utawala area. Coming off Manyanja Road, we've got some then knocking on Outer Ring. And then on Gong Road, it's starting to build up as well. All right, so that's what it looks like this Monday morning at about this time. Let's take a look at about 7 o'clock and see how it has built up. Stay safe, folks. Let's know what's going on where you are on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Morning
As 20 minutes to 7, let me tell you before we look at the papers about the Emirates. Fly better with Emirates. It's you're thinking of going on holiday. It's actually holiday season that's about to begin globally, and the huge travel will just increasing. So Emirates would like to remind you that you can actually fly with Emirates, and you fly better with Emirates, especially if you think about first class. It's like a hotel in the sky. Just imagine stepping from your first class private suite into the shower spa, pampering yourself with exclusive spa products before a pre-dinner cocktail in the onboard bar. You can do it all on the Emirates A380 in Ile double-decker plane. It has a bar, it has a spa, it has and then you can sleep in your own.
You can actually sleep in your own bed.
Fully flat bed.
And by that room, you lock it. It's not at the pasia.
It's not a what?
Well, there isn't sort of like some piece of cloth that separates you from someone else.
Like a curtain.
No.
It's yours. You lock.
Up in the sky.
Yes.
And you lie down flat.
Doesn't it just give new meaning to first class?
Imagine. Everything you want from your holiday before you've even arrived, you get it up there.
Luxury in the sky.
44,000 feet above. Huh? Fly better with Emirates. Tell us one of the stories.
Let me tell you some of the stories. Hoiro. Manufacturers, protesters, cartels, import cooking oil.
Eric, what have we done to this lady?
I don't know what she's saying.
Muskia. Okay, carry on.
L'huile. En français, c'est l'huile. Some 13 local cooking oil manufacturers are up in arms against importers who they say the government has given a free hand to bring in at preferential duties and repackage for sale locally. And they don't like this very much. They're saying that the importation cartels are so powerful that they became... apparently that Investments, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria appears to have joined the manufacturers in complaining, begging the question of just how...
Repeat that again? Who has joined the manufacturers?
So powerful have the importation cartels apparently become that Investments, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria appears to have joined the manufacturers in complaining, begging the question of just how influential these individuals are.
Fall under his docket,
in government circles. Yes, they do.
And when you import these things, is it something we just allow people to import willy-nilly, or do you need permits?
No, somebody's going to have a clue about what's going on, and somebody has to allow you to come in, that's for sure.
Okay, go on.
Mr. Kuria on Friday took to Twitter and he referred to the unnamed individuals as cartels, and he said that they're importing processed cooking oil and undercutting manufacturers. He vowed to crack the kcha on the importers, underlining the resurgence of the practice that former President Uhuru Kenyatta had in 2018 moved to kill through higher tariffs. He said importing edible oil in containers and repackaging the same in 20-litre jerry cans does not meet the threshold of value addition and manufacturing. He says to these cartels and to their hirelings, I have this to say. In the previous ministers, you found your match. In me, you will find your Waterloo.
Well,
try me.
Come on.
Try
10.
me.
All right. What power does the minister have? Can he revoke a license?
Yes, he can.
Wow. All right. So?
You can forget revoking, and he can also give it.
So, instead of doing all these things, what is Moses Kuria negotiating?
So what exactly do you want? You want to be one of the importers? Okay.
What exactly is he negotiating? Because, I mean, he's got the power. He sits in cabinet. He can actually, if the power is not with him, it's with the president. He can talk to the president and tell the president, look, there's this, and the other. And we can begin the process of terminating.
Or is he diverting our attention from something that has already taken place, something he might very well be aware of, and now he's crying wolf instead?
Yes. Because the others are crying wolf, so he's joining them. So
let's all cry wolf together to make it seem as if I'm on your side.
Does it not sound confusing? Because it's your docket and you have the mandate and you have the ability to rectify
You're
the
complaining
situation.
like the rest
and then
of
you're
us.
joining us.
It is estimated that the cheap imports have grown up to command a market share of 30% before the tariff kicked in. However, following coming to power, of the KK Alliance. The company said that cabals of refined cooking oil importers have resurfaced and are now importing the product at a preferential rate. The Kenya
they have resurfaced with KK government?
Yes, apparently.
All right.
Okay. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers, in a January 23 letter, protested and noted that the importation of refined cooking oil spells doom for local manufacturers. So this might give rise to what you just said. In the letter addressed to Mr. Courier, the lobby said local manufacturers who have a combined installed production capacity of 7,160 tons are only operating at 60% of their capacity. The firms locally processing edible oils, which include a number, etc., etc. CAM has said that the traders' alleged importation of finished edible oils at a preferential duty regime for further bulk breaking into the retail market in Kenya, and for them this is unacceptable.
I get it. So the issue here is that these companies are actually importing refined product.
Finished. All they do is bring it and put it into
and yet
the
you have
containers
manufacturers in Kenya who have invested heavily
to do the same thing.
To do this thing.
And they're bringing it in at preferential rates. So obviously, what does it mean? When it
cheaper
gets
in the
to
markets.
the shelf, it's much cheaper than what is locally produced and available.
What? This Kenya was my friend.
Jungle.
And why are all these things happening at the same time? Because it's just before you've taken a breath to figure out what happened last week, something else now hits you. As you say, boom.
Hey.
Here we are. Did you not ask this question last week with regard to subsidies and say, okay, folks, we understand this subsidy issue, blah, 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 fertilizer, we understand it very well. But why not give our manufacturer a subsidy? Why not? Because they can produce the very same thing. Does it not make sense that if they produce it locally and it was competitive, more people will be able to afford it?
So what you need to do in this case is that you make sure that they have capacity to do it, because then you wouldn't need to import. Why do you import? Because the local, if there is not able to meet the demand, isn't it? But now you're saying there actually is, there are about 10 companies here who are making
we
this
have
thing.
capacity.
They're saying that the reason why they have to import is because those 10 are not able to meet the demand of the local market.
And yet,
okay,
and yet they're operating
now,
at what capacity?
They're operating at 60%. They're saying allow them now, according to Kenya Association of Manufacturers, what you need to do is tweak this thing a little bit so that they can now start to operate at maximum capacity.
Yes.
And it is under your purview
and
as
encourage
the
other
ministry,
investors to come in.
Exactly. It's under your purview as a ministry to do so. Now, all they're saying is, do it, allow us. If you give them more wiggle room, they can produce. But obviously, you're not going to do it, right? Why?
No.
Because there's some benefit somewhere to having folks
This
who are
isn't
importing.
some. This is a great deal of benefit somewhere. You think this has come to an end?
It's a big issue.
It's a big deal, Banner.
It's a big one. And if you just think about it, I think it's a journey towards something. It's a journey towards something. Remember when you had a conversation with the PS for crop development last week?
Yes, we did.
And you also talked about edible oils and the fact that we are importing a lot of raw material. We should also be thinking of growing a lot of these this raw material here.
Like the palm.
Sunflowers, palm and all that. And then you see Kenya Association of Manufacturers also talking about the same, about the edible oil market, blah, blah, blah. And then the Cabinet Secretary for MITI talks about the same. This is something that's cooking.
But Eric, you see the question that I find a bit puzzling is this. We are talking about wanting to build Kenya and at the same time buy the Kenya that we build, isn't it? We already have industries that manufacture this oil. Is it not the mandate of the government to ensure that what we refer to as local industries get all the help that is possible, humanly possible for them to get, so that our manufacturing becomes as competitive as these others? But now, if what we are reading about is what now takes center stage, will they ever really develop? Will they ever grow beyond the capacity they currently have?
CAM is talking about this now and raising a furore now. The former CS for that ministry was the former very long-standing CEO of CAM.
Yes, she was.
She understands. Anyway, there's something afoot.
Yep.
Just sit, we'll watch. It'll unravel. Itatuambia tu.
And we will be here.
We will be here.
To
We'll
observe
see
it as
it.
it unravels.
We'll see it. President William Ruto has joined other African leaders in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to talk about very many things. And he's accusing the West and the Bretton Woods institutions of skewed financing that has exacerbated the effects of climate change in Africa by rewarding polluters and punishing those with the least emissions. He's warning the financial institutions to make the playing field level, as they were not helping to combat the financial crisis, explaining that Africa does not want a system that favors her, but one that is fair and accountable. He says, as it stands today, the financial setup favors the global north as opposed to the global south, which includes Africa. Today, Kenya and African countries access development finances at 10%, while the global north gets it at 0.05% to 0.1%.
Sorry, I'm going to need you to just repeat that last sentence.
Today, Kenya and African countries access development finances at 10%, while the global north gets it at 0.05 to 0.1%. We are getting the funds at 100% more expensive rates than our other colleagues in the north. He said the current financial situation is rigged for those in the West and is calling for change of the financial system. The current financial setup today favors the emitters, those who pollute getting away with it. They get development finance cheaper than we do, while those of us who do not emit are being punished for not polluting. We are paying an arm and a leg for not being emitters. It's costing us 100 times more than our compatriots in the global north. We need a new system that understands and holds to account those who have brought us here. Africa is not asking for favors.
We actually are. We actually are. If we're complaining about the rates, you see, no one forces us to borrow. We don't have to. And even when you look at the world of borrowing, the financial experts we've had here who've explained to us where to borrow, how to borrow, what can happen, and all the things that have to do with borrowing. The truth of the matter is that it's a statement that African leaders make all the time, pointing our fingers to the West. It's their money. If they are favoring themselves, that it's their money.
No,
Why?
it's not their money, but
actually
Bretton
is
Woods
their money.
institutions are serving all of us.
No,
we are not talking about their countries.
Who contributes to these financial institutions? Who? Us.
Okay, they contribute, fine. But does the Bretton Woods institutions then say that you shall, because you contribute more, you shall pay less?
Must we borrow from them if we don't like it so much?
They're the most preferred lender.
I'm asking a simple question. Must we borrow from them?
No,
because
we mustn't.
We don't like the money, we don't like the terms.
But they're the most preferred
question
lender.
is the discrepancy of how the borrowing is done. Or how the lending is done. Actually, not even the borrowing. How the lending is done. If you're going to lend, if the Bretton Woods institutions, for example, are going to lend to France at 0.1%, why would you lend to Egypt at 10%? Why would you lend to
Nigeria
at 10%? If you're going to lend to Italy at 1%, why are you going to lend to Namibia at 10%? Why?
Let me ask the question, who contributes to these Bretton Woods?
The reason they're able to contribute more is because they're able to access cheap finances and the economies can grow.
Let's look at the Bretton Woods
It's a
institutions
whole
today.
cycle.
Look at the Bretton Woods institution today and what they were set up to do initially. And
Who set them up?
It all came about at the Marshall Plan in 1945. That's when all of this started. When Western Europe was in a complete mess. And they said, okay, guys, yes, you're right, CT. The US, the United Kingdom, etc., Western Germany came together and said, okay, what can we do to start to build up parts of Germany and some other countries? But the principle upon which they were founded was that we will help countries who are in a poor state. That was it. It is not that because we are putting money together, we will then help ourselves better and then not them. They began to open up their doors to other countries in the world upon the same principles. The principles did not change. When they opened up the doors to other countries in the world, the principles remained the same.
Yes.
So now you want to say because I have included Namibia, Nigeria, and Kenya, then I will now say because I've included you guys and you happen to be in the global south, I will apply a different principle in my lending to you.
Do.
Why?
If there is falsehood in the statement and the principles are not the same. Because that's what we are saying.
Yes.
Fact, the principles are not the same. Now, once I have understood they are not the same,
Why do I keep coming back to use your question?
No, that one I've already asked, and I've shelved it. I'm asking another one. I'm asking the question, what is the likelihood that they will reduce these rates for whatever reason and make it 0.0001% and 1%? What is the likelihood?
If there's pushback.
If there's push.
Yeah.
Where has it happened? Where there's pushback?
It has never happened, and that's what people like the likes of Dr. William Ruto are saying.
There's
today,
always a beginning.
that there must be pushback.
And the beginning was yesterday in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Yes. Where they are saying, you know what? You people are in the business of lending. Now, we who take the bulk of your lending, because let's be very honest, that the Global South takes the bulk of the lending from the Bretton Woods institutions. They are in the business of lending. Wait, if there's no customer in the market tomorrow,
Actually,
Shebi, you will
I would look at it differently. Same thing, you're saying perspective. We pay you the most. Meaning, if we are paying you 10%, someone is paying you 0.0000%, whatever, we are
We're your
the ones who are
biggest
giving-
customer.
we are your
and
biggest,
we're the ones
so
who
you must pander essentially
we
to our
give you the
needs.
muscle that you have because we pay the bulk for
Exactly.
it.
So if we come tomorrow and say we are not doing again, it is actually to your loss. So this is what Dr. William Ruto is saying now, that you know what? We can actually give pushback. We can give pushback because at the end of the day, we give, okay, let's take it from that other side. We give you the most. But here we are saying that it is not a fair game. It's not Monopoly where you can get Park Lane or Oxford Street and to the highest bidder. No, it's real life. It's the world. So guess what? Pushback says, you know what? You don't reduce your rates. You don't treat us like everybody else. We move.
You know, this discussion, especially when it revolves around climate change, we've had it, and we've had people making even stronger statements. This is AU meeting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Toothless dog, this AU thing.
Yeah.
What on earth are they going to do?
But this is where the problem lies.
It begins with that. Remember, African countries also spoke the same during the Sharm el-Sheikh climate talks.
Yes.
COP27.
Right? Same thing. Saying, look, guys, we've gotten to a point where we must move. This is the Africa's COP, and we are saying, and William Ruto has come and repeated the same thing here. And he's saying, look, we have been talking about polluters, and those that are bearing the brunt of it. We are bearing the brunt of this thing. Conversations like this, they start,
saying, for instance,
they'll continue somewhere.
That when we borrow, and after making this statement, I will end my discussion on this topic. Are we saying we can't borrow from anybody else and borrow at a rate that we may consider favorable?
No, we are not saying that.
See, told you my conversation is
Tell us who else.
I don't know. I'm asking the question because I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm actually thinking.
Who else?
Because if I look
would
at
we
these
borrow
rules,
from?
we
At
were
those rates.
Yes, we were doing very
At
well.
0.01 rate.
Yeah, when we borrowed at these very favorable rates. And then somebody decided that we're a middle income country. And then everybody changes. Now, these rules, if you look at them, if a middle income country now has to pay more for the loans, then the question I'm asking is, how is it in the so-called developed world then
is paying the least?
Yes,
for the
I
loan.
mean, can someone explain this logic to me?
There's no logic there, my brother.
Okay.
Your own logic.
We'll
You
get
wait.
there, won't we?
You wait. You just wait for logic. You may get.
Wow. Logic is coming. Like
Logic.
rain.
Logic is coming. Showmax.com is actually giving you logic because it's telling you.
It's not logical. It doesn't make sense, but it's a good thing that you just pay for 1 month, they give you 2. You see logic?
You need logic.
Showmax in a give. What's your favorite TV show? Your movies, documentaries, the sporting activities like the so wonderful All-Star Weekend games that took place, the NBA this weekend. Showmax in a give. You pay for 1 month, whatever subscription package you have, they'll give you an extra month for free. Easy. Showmax in a give.
So aren't you mentioning that Arsenal is back to the top of the league? So you mentioned, just say it.
I would also
including the fact that
because I was watching the All-Star Weekend game, basketball.
That's all right. That was taking
We-
place
we-
in the
we-
middle of the
we-
night.
We've
got
absorbed
that.
and consumed the
That one.
diversion. Now,
Yeah. Now
please
tell us about
state
Arsenal.
what you're being told about.
I know I caught the tail end of the match yesterday, Manchester United and Leicester.
All right.
Okay. I caught that where Manchester United won.
Yeah, and they're number one in the league. Yeah, who's at the top of the league?
Some boys who wear red.
Manchester.
No, boys who were red are Manchester. Those ones are, I don't know, number 3, number 4. Okay? The men who are at the top of the league are Arsenal. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning. It's 7 a.m.
Good morning, this is Nizam Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has called for rich countries to be held accountable for driving global warming and for a revamp of international financial institutions to better fight climate change. Poorer nations, especially those in Africa, have been hit disproportionately hard by fallout from climate change, which has aggravated drought and flooding despite being least responsible for carbon emissions. On the sidelines of the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, where climate change is a major topic, Ruto said the time was ripe for a paradigm shift.
We are saying the same financial setup today, or financial system today, favors the emitters. It favors those who pollute. They get development finance cheaper than we do. Those of us who are not emitters are being punished for not being emitters. We are paying an arm and a leg. We are paying 100 times more than our compatriots in the global north. And that is why we are saying we need to redesign. We need a new system that understands, that is accountable, that makes those who have brought us here to the climate crisis that we have, the emitters, the polluters, they need to be held to account, so that an accountable system that doesn't punish the least polluters and doesn't reward the most, those who pollute the most, a system that works for everybody. And we are not asking for any favors. We are not asking for a system that favors us. We are asking for a system that is even.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has declared that the government appointments and contracts are a preserve of those who voted for Kenya Kwanza government, and that the Kenya Kwanza government will reward its staunch supporters and those who toiled to put the current government in office and give least consideration to members of the opposition.
Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Yule ambaye alipanda atafanya nini? Simulipanda, simuliamuka mapema, mukasema hamtaki kusikia mambo ya ile system na nini, mukainvest, mukapanda, mukapalilia, mukaweka mbolea, mukamwagilia maji, wakati ya kuvuna ndio huu.
Speaking in Kericho, the DP said that it is laughable that some members of the opposition had started trooping to State House seeking government positions, further adding that even though the government will serve all Kenyans, it is fair to reward its supporters with government appointments.
Najua wengine wananikashifu ati mimi nasema ati wale walipanda wavune kwanza. Iko makosa? Iko makosa? Hata hao watavuna, lakini wangoje. Si wale walipanda na wavune kwanza. Wakishavuna wavune, ile itabaki kidogo, wale hawakupanda waingie, watafute huko nini, ile itapatikana wachukue wakwende. Si iko namna hiyo? Na itakuwa namna hiyo.
He said he is the self-appointed guardian of State House and would ensure that all those who did not support Kenya Kwanza are locked out of all government plan positions. He said those who voted the other way must learn a lesson about elections.
Hii kura iko na maana. Nyinyi hamwezi piga kelele huko, mpige kelele. Mnasema William Ruto ni bure, hawezi, mnaita yeye majina, alafu akipata, akigawa, mnapiga laini ati mko pale mbele. Ati mnataka mpite wale walisema anafaa ati mkue pale mbele. Inawezekana? Mimi kazi yangu pale kwa ikulu ni hiyo. Ni kupanga hiyo laini. Hapo ni kazi mimi napanga hapo. Mimi naangalia kwa laini, nikiona wewe ulipanda, na kutoa wewe nyuma, napeleka wewe mbele. Nikiona wewe hukupanda na kutoa na kurudisha nyuma, ufanye nini? Niendelee na hiyo kazi ama niwache?
And Wiper Party says it fully supports Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition's ongoing nationwide rallies, in which the coalition's leader Raila Odinga has been mobilizing supporters to oppose the Kenya Kwanza government. In a statement after a 2-day retreat in Naivasha, Musyoka said Wiper remains in Azimio and backs the public engagement forums.
The executive has made many attempts to divide the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. They have openly used public institutions and public resources to entice individual members, quote unquote, in the name of development, to break ranks with their political parties. They have systematically tried to erode all the gains of multi-party democracy under our Constitution 2010 and take this nation back to one-party state. We, the leaders of the Wiper Democratic Movement, want to emphasize that we will not allow this country to retrogress to the dark days of the one-party state.
And a police officer attached to the Awendo police station has been arrested for shooting Diary's colleague at within the Critical Infrastructure Protection Unit Armory area in Awendo sub-county. The suspect, who was identified as Sulubu, allegedly shot Diary's colleague Elijah using an AK-47. Suna East Sub-County Police Commander Hesau Okochorodi, who is standing in for the county police commander, said the suspect, a constable, and was returning his firearm. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, a few minutes after 7 o'clock, and it's bubbling in most parts of the city this morning. We're looking at it heavy coming off Jogo Road. And if we look at the thicker superhighway, that has really then increased in traffic. We're looking at traffic coming in from Kiambu County and then on towards the city centre all the way through. It's really slow. We're looking at the same thing on Kiambu Road, moving slowly and inching closer and closer towards Muthaiga Square. All right, let's look at James Gishuru. That started early, crossing over towards Wayaki Way. We're looking at traffic coming in from Gong Road. That is also pretty heavy. Naivasha Road is also giving it off to Gong Road this morning. We'll see the spillover for some time. North Airport Road heading out towards Outer Ring. Outer Ring is going to take it on then through that part of the city. And we're looking at it heavy coming in from the Eastern Bypass, in and outbound there. Traffic hour has begun early today. Let's keep an eye on things and see what happens. Talk to us about where you are. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
It is 7 minutes after 7. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room. Happy Monday. It's the 20th day of February 2023. We're all here reminding you about Showmax and what Showmax are telling you throughout this month of February. Showmax in a give. In a give, Nini?
An extra month, imagine. For what you pay, for what your subscription is, Showmax says, okay, all right, we see you and we'll give you another month. You don't have to pay an extra shilling for it. So think about those movies, documentaries, series, sporting activities, etc., etc. You don't have to pay an extra month for it. Showmax got you.
Etc., etc. Yes. All right. We have a guest in the studio who's joining us now. Emmanuel Wangwe is the MP for Namakholo constituency. He is also the chairman of the Public Investments Committee on Social, Administration, Health and Agriculture. He is here to talk about the politics of the day. Azimio. Is Azimio standing the chance of survival against the onslaught that we've seen from State House? Let's welcome the Mheshimiwa with the day's proverb, CT.
Yes, our proverbs for this whole week come from the country of Tanzania, our immediate neighbor, on this other side. Okay. Where there are trees, there are masons.
Where there are trees, there are masons.
You know, I found this particular proverb puzzling, and that's why I chose it as the first proverb for the week. Masons, trees. Because masons deal with stones.
Probably that's it. It's because they don't need trees. That's why they don't cut trees. That's why you'll find trees.
Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Because masons will not need trees, or they'll not cut the trees. So you'll find a forest surviving. Lakini enda kwa mto.
Or
na makware.
Or a place, yes, then you'll find them at work. And we are therefore saying that if you find a place where there are carpenters, or seremala, as we call them, then you wouldn't find trees.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Good one.
Could be, yeah?
Good
Mheshimiwa
one,
Emmanuel
Kabisa.
Wangwe, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Most welcome.
Karibu.
Asante.
That proverb,
Yes.
what's your interpretation of it?
It's as good as saying, where do you expect a politician to be? I'm a politician, and definitely when there is politics, you said this is a hot seat. We should navigate where things are hot, not where things are light. So that actually you lead from the front.
Right.
Yes.
Where there's development, there are no politicians.
I disagree.
Sorry, yeah.
I disagree. I disagree.
That was in jest.
Yes, yes.
And it was intended to elicit the very reaction that we have. Now, expound on why it is that you disagree.
I disagree in the Kenyan scenario. The Kenyan constitution is a hybrid of the Westminster and the US, where Westminster Parliament is almost separate from the executive in term is commingled, where you find the ministers in the House, and so politics and development are all happening in the House. And in the US, you find separation where we don't have a minister in the House, is outside. Similarly to Kenya. So you find that you said where there is politics, there is no development. And now Kenyan scenario is a hybrid where we do budget in the House. The power of the purse, Article 114, is in the House. And the implementation is outside. So you have to really play both so that you understand the power of the purse and the power of implementation of that purse. Yes.
But Mheshimiwa, is that not what they call separation of powers? And is that not what is supposed to actually be the bedrock of a solid and a balanced government?
You know, when you talk of separation of powers, it means you are going to the cardinal functions of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary.
Yes.
Yeah. But here you are simply checking each other.
Yeah.
That whereas you are going to implement the pass, I am the one to give you the pass. And I'm not the final authority over it. The judiciary, in case I misbehave, can again overrule me. So it's actually checks and balance. It's not the issue of
separation of powers?
Conflict.
Oh, okay.
No, but separation doesn't necessarily mean conflict, Mheshimiwa.
It
It just means what you just said, check and balance.
And that's why I've said, instead of it being calling it conflict, it's a check and balance. Okay. That I agree. Yes.
So Mheshimiwa, you're a member of Parliament for Navakholo constituency.
Yes.
Where is Navakholo?
In terms of direction, in terms of geography, I would say it's in the county of Kakamega, in the central part. From the beginning, it was called Lurambi. In 2013, when the constitution came up and we had to split, it came out of Lurambi. So the original constituency was Lurambi.
Okay.
Yes.
So you are the first member of Parliament for the newly created Navakholo constituency in 2013.
Correct.
Right, and you've been in that Parliament now for the third term.
Correct.
You have sat in various committees. Yes. You're elected this time under ODM.
Correct.
Has it been always under ODM?
No. In 2013, I did come into Parliament on UDF under the party leadership of Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. In 2017, I came in through Jubilee under the leadership of His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. And this time I've come in through ODM under the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga.
So do you think people in Navakholo choose the person or the party?
I wouldn't want to separate it and say a person or a party, but it all goes with the association with the people, how you endear to the people, what you tell them. Does it make sense? Does it resonate with them? Is it within the vision they want you to be? So I think that is the position. My people are not really interested too much in a person per se. neither are they too much in politics of a party. Yes.
So why did you move those 3 times? Why did you find it prudent to move from UDF to Jubilee in 2017 and move from Jubilee to ODM last year?
Eric, politics is the dynamism changes at the last minute. All this you are seeing today, people talking of 1, 2, 3, last minute issues, circumstances change. So in 2013, when I came into power, into leadership through UDF, immediately after election, we all signed the memorandum. UDF was under a money coalition. A money coalition signed the memorandum to work with the TNA and URP. So we became too close to each other, that we were like almost one thing. When we went into election of 2017, we were already on board one vehicle. So there was nothing to really say you are crossing over from one party to another or whatever. It was like one vehicle per se. Okay. In 2017 to 2022, when I came in through Jubilee, you saw the dynamism. Jubilee had to do with the 2 parties in one. There was the Jubilee A and the Jubilee B, so to call, which has now Jubilee B has gone to be UDA. And so I boarded the vehicle of Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, which was the original Jubilee. I was the chief whip of the government in the house. And definitely, Eric, when you are driving a vehicle, you cannot abandon the passengers. So I had to move in. And by the time we were closing the ranks to 2022, it was rather very good to reorganize the region. And Kakamega County, we reorganized ourselves into ODM, which was working closely with Jubilee under Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta. And that's how we ended up with 11 MPs in ODM out of 13 in Kakamega's region.
Okay.
Yes.
And then this thing began to spread like wildfire, and then we saw this coalition, which is now today Azimio. So the 2 parties that you then recognized or that you had worked with, obviously now ODM and previously Jubilee, now came under one umbrella. What did you think about that now that we saw the joining, and then Azimio became what many would say a force to be reckoned with, months to the election and then thereafter? Before we even get to what's happening today, what did you think about that coalition of all these parties coming together?
There was certainty in winning. We could see a win. And definitely, you go into election to win. So whatever coalition or party you're joining, you seem to have almost certainty of coming out as victors. We could see Azimio was cutting across almost everywhere. It was Azimio. It was blue. So definitely it was a coalition to admire. That was the move. That was the situation. And it appeared like definitely here we are going to continue in leadership. Yes.
So today,
yes,
things look a little bit interesting, wouldn't you say? I guess a picture overall of what we are seeing with Azimio. There are conversations about this person going here. There are conversations about groups leaving. There are conversations about particular parties leaving the coalition. Doesn't do much for confidence for the people that you said then, bought into this idea of Azimio. The question is, what is happening today?
That goes back to the question Eric asked of development and politics. When you are elected into office, you've taken responsibility. Like me, in my constituency, I have about 239,000 people, citizens that I'm leading. They expect every problem to have a solution from me, and definitely, when you get into Parliament, there are various issues that require you to resolve, both commercial, development, and social. What makes you want to shift, if you are not in government, towards the issues of towards government, is the ability to endear, work out your ways to send some development to your constituency. Remember, Eric, one thing that the current constitution did that is a bit tricky is the issue of how do you establish the budget. That is the whole elephant in the house that people have not understood. When you look at the budget making process, when you are in opposition and you say Parliament makes you get the passes budget.
Yeah.
Remember, how does Parliament access to that budget? There is what we call the medium-term development framework, which comes from the executive. Budget begins as early as August into the new year. So if you have not aligned yourself with the executive, you cannot knock on the door of the principal secretary. You cannot knock on the door of the cabinet secretary. Definitely, your development agenda will miss into the medium term. And then the medium term flows into the budget policy statement. At that level, if you have missed out your project into the budget, definitely you have nothing.
You're out for that year.
Yeah, for that year. So that is now what makes people want to cross endear to government just for that section.
So that their project can be included into the medium-term
Otherwise, if
plan.
you are not aligned, you cannot move into the government office. You walk into government, like today, Eric, I walked into your studio. You stood and greeted me. You did not hide your papers. But if I'm too much like I'm coming to spy into this room, you will first of all hide your papers, then you...
There'll be hostile reception.
There'll be hostile reception.
So I hear you saying then that this it looks as though it's castigation of folks who then have gone, who they have said have gone to figure out a development agenda, are essentially betraying the party or betraying the coalition. I mean, it's not hidden, it's what has been said. But you're explaining something different now, saying, look,
it's
yes,
necessary.
We are politicians, but it's necessary for survival. If we don't find out what the development agenda is for the constituencies in which we operate in as members of parliament, then we're as good as dead.
In politics, you can turn a pen to be a knife. Yes. And for your party leader to survive, he can say, you want to run away from me if you don't explain to him properly why you are going to see the president, why you are going into this particular ministry, why you are going to do 1, 2, 3. Therefore, according to me, it's all about now the political part of it. When you call on to the political part of it, then you look at it and say the Political Party Act puts you on defense that you are not supposed to associate. You are deemed to have resigned even on association.
Just by
picking
a call.
Yes, by putting a call. That is how the Political Party Act is put. So if you handle it in terms of politics, then that's the way to go. But when you want to look at it from the reality, the Constitution 2010, which we have, that is now the position.
I'm so confused. If you allow me. So if this, it seems to be common knowledge, what you're saying here, amongst practitioners of politics. The real politic here is that, look, there's the ideal that you aspire for, but the truth of the matter here is that if we don't do these things, we will not survive, right? It seems to be something that everybody knows. So if that is the case, why then have to go and seek for permission to go do 1, 2, 3? If your party leader is aware that if you do not hear from the government of the day, if you happen to be in the opposition, if they are aware, why then do you have to seek for them to come and ask for permission to go and see the government of the day, to knock those doors, if you know that is modus operandi?
Now what happens is this, is where you go and you fail to give feedback.
Oh, so you must seek permission,
yes.
Then you go, then you must come and give feedback.
Yes, okay. Because you work as one, you are in whose house? You are in the house, I'm in the house of ODM. I work with the president. There should be nothing to hide. I should not look like I'm going to spy on my president. I should not look at I'm going to spy on my party leader. I should be open enough and tell my party leader, I've met the president, and the president has given me this agenda, and this is what we are going to do. But if you hide it from your party leader, then your party leader will suspect you to be undercutting some issues behind him. And if you hide from the president that my party leader is aware, again, it's like you are going to spy to the president. So it's as good as you put everything above board. That's the only difference is when you are in opposition and when you are in government.
Sounds to me, Mheshimiwa, like this is a problem of your own making.
How?
Look, you are elected to represent the people.
Correct.
To represent the people means that if they have an issue, there's a road somewhere in our constituency that needs to be built. If there's a water dam that needs to be built, if the farmers need fertilizer, if whatever they need, you need to represent them with the government, right? Now, if you knock on the door of the cabinet secretary for agriculture or for roads or for this and the other, that's you doing your job. That's not you going to meet with the government.
Allow me to say it like this. For you to be able to broadcast, there is someone who is not visible here, a technician. There is someone above you who is also the editor or whatever it is to make sure that the output of this program is good.
Yes.
That's how it is. There is a process. Even as in politics, there is a process. We are working within structures. So where you're working within structures, you have to be as open and as decent as you, Eric, who is on broadcast this morning. That is how it is. So there are structures in politics. Structures ranging from the political party leadership to the structures in executive. So you cannot just go into the minister's office, you rush and do anything. He cannot just give you everything as he wants. That's how you find ministers have also to write cabinet memos to discuss what is being requested from various leaders. So there are structures. What we are saying is there are structures in everything. The structure of governance, the structure of politics. Even if I go to meet the president today, and my party leader is aware that I'm going to meet the president, for example, let me put it for example for my own case.
Yeah.
When the president came to Kakamega, we had a very nice sitting with him. The deputy party leader, who is Governor Paranya, was already involved in it, and he saw what we are doing. There was no hue and cry. But if you put everything under the table, our president was received very well in Kakamega, absolutely so well, and there was no hue and cry. But if you put anything under the table, then you'll have issues with your party leader. But put everything on the table. We are hosting the president. He has come to do 1, 2, 3. He's the national leader, so that even himself, the president, is safe. So we are not putting anything below the table.
Everything is above board.
Above board.
If you're meeting with the president, there'll be photos, they'll be shared on social media.
That's fine.
Everything everybody can see.
That's fine.
If you leave that meeting and you go and meet with the certain CS, and that is also publicized, that's above board.
That's fine.
So you don't have to actually ask your party leader, can I go and meet the CS Kipchumba Murkomen today because of a certain road? If you go and meet and you come out and say, I've met the CS for road, Kipchumba Murkomen, I've told him about our roads in our area, and he has agreed that we need to work on that. Do you need to ask the party leader?
There is the connotation you're putting in. How you are putting the word ask has a reservation. But engaging your party leader that this is what I'm doing in my constituency, he's very much okay. Because he's also, remember, we have another 5 years to go into election.
Yes.
He also needs those people. He should take care of those people and protect them and make them happy, make development in that area, so that at least when he comes after 5 years, he says, mulinipa huyu wangwe na wangu ametujengea barabara na sisi tuko pamoja na yeye. So actually what the whole issue is, there is no disconnect between the elected MP on a particular party and the party leadership. Yes.
Your party leader, after particularly this time when we saw several MPs, I think there were 6 MPs from ODM meeting with the president, then there was a party retreat in Athi River. Your party leader came out and said, those people who are meeting with the president, those ones are betraying the cause. Do you agree with him?
I agree with him, if at all they did not brief him. Because I'm not them, but I'm putting a caution, if at all they did not brief him.
Prior to or after the meeting?
Whichever. You see, it's not to meet the president is not a day's function. You cannot go to I cannot leave here and go to State House today. I have to get appointment and move on. So does it mean after all these 2 weeks or so of engagement, they never met their party leader? They should have met their party leader, and they should have told him, we have this. For example, they had a very good course, which they said they had, that they were following up on the Kisumu retreat or the Kisumu visit of the president. actually, it is the duty of the area member of parliament to follow up on what the executive has promised. That was a noble cause. So should they have not have informed him, then that is their own issues. So they have their own issues to sort with the party leader. But according to me, that is a genuine cause to go to State House to visit the president and explain to him, you promised our people this, so where is our cake for the promise that you did? According to me, that is it. But if they did not inform him the way the party leader said, then now they have issues to answer with the party leader. Yes.
Some are saying that the president is raiding the ranks of Azimio by meeting with ODM leaders, by meeting with the Jubilee leaders. What do you think?
I don't think so. Myself, I've met the president severally. He has never discussed with me on how to move from ODM to his party. Neither has he ever discussed politics. All the 3 times or so we've met over a road called Road C41, which we launched on 15th day of December, the year 2015, when he was the deputy president. Himself, he came there with President Uhuru. They launched that road. Throughout his campaign period, he traversed the same road, and we have always made on concentration on what are we going to do about that road. So definitely, for my case, I've never discussed with him anything to do with the politics of ODM and UDA.
Let's take a break on that note. Mheshimiwa Emmanuel Wangwe is our guest this morning. He's the Member of Parliament for Navakholo constituency and also the Chairman of the Public Investments Committee on Social, Administration, Health and Agriculture. He's here. We are talking about the politics of the day. Does Azimio stand chance of survival? Or what we are seeing, are they raids by the president into Azimio ranks? He says he doesn't see that as a raid. He also says he doesn't see any problem with the ODM and Azimio surviving. 28 minutes to 8. Mheshimiwa, you have traveled the world a number of times. You know, flown Emirates, I'm sure.
Sure.
Have you been on board the A380?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Business class or first class?
Business class.
Not
first class.
Tell us about business class. What do you get in the business class?
I want to be very precise on A380.
Yes.
It's on the upper deck.
Yeah.
It has a bar in the middle. And that was another world. Yes.
Why?
Let me give you the experience.
Yes.
I flew A380 from Dubai to Beijing.
How many hours?
I won't recall the hours. Oh, it could be 8 hours.
It's about 8 hours,
8
right.
hours.
Thereabout, yeah. Thereabout. The experience on takeoff is wonderful. It can take maybe like about an hour to reach the climax, the cruise level. About an hour. It's a soft climbing. So to me, the experience is good.
It was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
You say it has a bar in the middle.
Yes.
It has, of course, proper entertainment inside.
Very.
What kind of entertainment do you have?
You have I would want to say almost. I've gone long haul flights, 18 hours, 15 hours.
Yeah.
I would want to say what is obvious. The drinks are very entertaining.
Right.
The food is good.
Good cuisine.
And also the hostels are very, very up to standard. All of international standard. Yeah. I would want to appreciate the hostess who hosted us on that flight. It was good. They were good. They had all the answers for questions we posed. To me, I'm okay.
Your journey on the A380 from Dubai to
Beijing. Yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about flying better with Emirates, and especially if you think about the A380, first class and business class. Mheshimiwa has been in the business class. He's just telling us. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you have to do this.
Yes.
Wonderful. 26 to 8. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Fly Emirates first and business class and look forward to a journey that's as incredible as your destination. Start your holiday with delicious fine dining, impeccable service, and comfort that's out of this world. Sip drinks in our A380 onboard lounge on flights from Dubai and beyond. Watch a movie and drift into a restful sleep in flatbed seats. Treat yourself to Emirates first and business class. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
It's a sunny morning in Nairobi, highs of 28 and lows of 15 through Monday. 14 and sunny in Nakuru, highs of 30 and lows of 12. We'll see lows of 10 in a sunny Nyeri at 12. And it's 14 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 28 and lows of 13. We'll see sunny conditions through Mombasa, highs of 32 and lows of 25. And it'll go to highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's sunny at 26. 20 and mostly sunny in Kisumu, highs of 34. And we'll see highs of 33 in a partly sunny Kakamega at 20. It's 21 and sunny in Kampala, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 28. It's sunny at 17 in Johannesburg, highs of 24 and lows of 14. Hazy morning in Lagos at 25, going to highs of 34. And we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 22.
Spice up your life.
On the road this morning is heading out towards Landis at the City Stadium roundabout, and it's starting just at the mouth of that roundabout. It'll take you all the way through to Kamkunji, where it's very, very busy this morning. Uhuru Highway from the Nyayo National Stadium is actually packed as you're getting towards Haile Selassie at the junction, out into the city centre and then through to Westlands. That's moving slowly this morning. We're looking at traffic coming out of Westlands also doing the thing today. Very slow. James Gishuru started off and was giving it to Waikiwe really early today, and we're seeing that then coming out into the CBD. In and outbound traffic on Gong Road is also a thing, and we're looking at Naivasha Road. Heavy traffic right around that junction more, and then also coming in towards Gitanga Road, and then it's going to go out, and then everybody's going to spill over to James Gishuru. All right, we're looking at the Northern Bypass, which you should be able to use as an escape route. Very busy this morning, and it's touching on what's coming out of Ruaka, Kitisuru, out towards United Nations Avenue past Village Market. So it's busy all round, and we're in traffic hour proper this Monday. Be safe. What's going on where you are? Let us know. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4
Right,
Spice FM, Nairobi.
The conversation continues with the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, MP for Navakholo constituency, third term in Parliament. He's been there since, we're in what, the 13th?
In the 13th Parliament.
Yeah. So 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Hey, City, he says, if you've been elected by people to represent them in Parliament, you will of necessity meet with those in the executive. And that should not necessarily mean that you're defecting.
Mheshimiwa is right. You see the logic behind what it is that one is elected to do revolves around how it is. Remember the beginning of the conversation, we were talking about the independence of institutions, and yet the need for the institutions to cooperate. They are the legislators. They have the functions of oversight. Their functions are clear. But what are they oversighting? You're oversighting what? The executive. Okay? Now, if you're oversighting the executive, what's the function of the executive? The function of the executive meshes very, very clearly into the functions of a member of parliament. So, if you understand this, the logic behind the need for one to meet with people in the executive, it's moot. It's not something that you need to sit and discuss at great length. It's as obvious as day and night. But what is equally obvious in my mind is that when you look at political parties, especially a multi-party system like ours, where you have many parties, they have the rules and regulations as to how to conduct themselves among themselves and how they relate to other people. Now, it stands to reason that if someone, say, for instance, doesn't understand how it is their party functions, that's not the party's problem, it is your problem. You are the one who joined that particular party. You ought to know how they go about their business. Now, the discussion we have here is how do parties go about their business in relation to the executive? Not how does Parliament relate? How does the party and its members, those who've been elected to go to Parliament, what are the guiding principles that they function with or they go by in relation to the executive.
Whatever guiding principles there are, though,
Yes.
should they gag a member of parliament, or should they put a leash on a member of parliament on, okay, you can engage this much, you can only engage thus far?
Actually, yes, there's always a leash and there's always a gag. Now, I'm saying this because I'm looking at the first time in this country when we had a situation where we didn't have an opposition per se because everyone was in Kanu, and the opposition began to stretch and decided to actually take action, and people crossed the floor. This subject we're discussing now became in the full glare of the public. It's all okay, fine, it's just cross the floor, it's fine. But you are elected on a Kanu ticket. So if you really wish to be in the opposition, then you need to resign from this and then be elected on a
Opposition
yes, or KPU as it was then. And should we say the rest is then history? I'm looking at the evolution of political parties in this country, and I'm saying it's simply this. We have a very unique evolution. Unique in the sense that it was even made more unique in the period that ended in 2022, where you had a sitting vice president, a sitting deputy president, who was in all essence in the opposition. Okay? It's a very unique way of doing things. But prior to that, in the Kibaki government, we had a situation where there were people who were in one coalition choosing to work with the president of the time, who was supposed to be the executive, and they were supposed to be in the opposition. So this meshing and melding of people from one party to the other and working with the other has always been there. The only fundamental difference is when people do that, you make a move. Now, the move may not be physical because we only have elections 5 years, every 5 years. But in everything except the election, in terms of function affiliation, there are people who are in one party in this country and work with the other party. It's not new. Now, if you find that it's untenable for a party, we've had people being kicked out of political parties, but they still stay in parliament. Now, that bit I don't get. Because I would assume you are elected in a political party, that party kicks you out. What does that mean? Does it mean that they have taken administrative action and you tell them thank you very much and you continue being member of parliament? How does that work, Mheshimiwa?
Thank you very much. I feel the earlier bit you had really explained it so well.
And this later bit I've explained
the latter bit is not is what maybe leaves me in a state which I might not be able to explain, but it's actually the way you had just put it. People work across parties, right, left, and center, and in real life situation, Eric, I would put it like what the political party wants is not to display affections where they are not necessary. When you are in a relationship, those days we were young, we could have relationships and our parents could not know until when we now come out and say, here is the partner we want to move with to church and celebrate our matrimony. That is actually what the political parties, the leadership looks like at it like. You can be in relationship, but you don't display the affections. I think once we caution the bit of affections, we'll not be at war with our political party leadership. On the other last bit, my brother here was explaining about how does it work. It's all about processes. The party cannot just wake up today and kick me out. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 must be adhered to, such that you cannot just blame me unheard. I have to be heard. And the process of being heard is what is long. Because today you have to go through the process of tribunal. When the tribunal maybe makes a ruling, we have to end up in court. And the court process, obviously will take some time. So that is what keeps you in parliament. Otherwise, if the process ends and the court makes the pronouncement and says you go.
Okay.
Yes.
So fundamentally, a party leader does not have a problem with members of parliament under this party working in terms of development that would come directly from the executive. Is that true?
Yes. I don't think if there is any party leader who would be against that. Because at the end of the day, he is a party leader of that MP. Behind him, who is my case, is my case. I have 239,000 people waiting for development from me and across my constituency. So to me, there is no party leader who can be against.
To whom do you owe your allegiance?
allegiance in terms of
everything. You're a member of parliament.
Yes.
To whom do you owe your allegiance? Because we've talked now, threaded in and about whatever it is that you're going to do, you must go to your party leader, tell them what is happening. Then when you finish, you must let them know this is what is happening. To whom do you owe your allegiance?
The Constitution of Kenya.
Right.
I owe allegiance to the Constitution of Kenya. When I saw to become a member of parliament, I did not swear to have allegiance to a party leader or any other person. The Constitution is very clear. My allegiance is to the Constitution of Kenya, and I work within the confines of the Constitution of Kenya. That's why I'm very sure. Today, if I wake up from this studio and go to see Murkomen to discuss about the road, that is his constitutional function as the CS for roads. It is my constitutional position to go and see what is happening. Why is he not implementing? You know, I don't go to look for the road. I go to find out why is that road not being done. That's the question to him. So it is my constitutional right to represent my people, to go and ask the Minister for Roads, why is this road not being done? So that's why even if my party leader can want to reprimand me, I'll have a defense in the High Court.
Would you say that members of parliament then, it doesn't matter who you're affiliated to, then you would move heaven and earth? It didn't matter then, if your allegiance is to the Constitution, then it doesn't matter who feels a certain way about a certain thing, that you move heaven and earth to make sure that the representation of your people, of your constituents, is met.
That is true. And where the party leader comes in is in the Political Parties Act, not in the Constitution, which talks about the association. That question of answering to the party leader comes in terms of association. The party leader needs you to keep closer to him, keep associating with him. So what happens when you sit over a cup of tea with your party leader? You'll definitely tell him, this is what I'm doing for my constituency. So he feels very safe that you must associate with him more often. So that bit of association, which is in the Political Parties Act, that if you associate with another member, another person of another party, that every now and then, I'm always with Eric, who is a member of a certain party. I leave my own party leader, then that is now where the problem begins. I hope we are now very clear.
Yes.
There's this discussion seems to be about political parties, but if I look at the members of parliament who were elected on an ODM ticket, the discussion as we in the media have framed it is not that. It has been these members of parliament from ODM, specifically from Luo Nyanza, have an issue with their party leader, not the party.
Yes. Now, that's different. They have to sort out their problems. That is not within that's their own problems. Yeah. So for me, I would not want to go into that. If they have their own problems, I'm not part of those problems.
Let them deal.
Let them deal.
Let them deal with those problems.
Do you think, though, that with the way our politics is structured, even just looking at what we are seeing, you've seen the headlines. Last week there was a headline, the way Ruto is cavorting with members of parliament from ODM, from Jubilee, and is bringing them on board, and they're all coming out to say, you know what, we'll work with the government. We have no problem working with the government. It appears to be that those in UDA, in Ford Kenya, in Amani, now some in ODM, some in Jubilee, are all going to work with the president of the day. And so they will not even perform their job better when they're in parliament, in terms of oversight, in terms of everything. So they feel they are beholden to him. So whatever the executive is doing, then as members of parliament, their function will be affected.
I don't think so. I want to speak as a former chief whip of the National Assembly, majority party. There are those principles which are in a person, and it's your duty to read what is in black and white. You don't just wake up today, go to the house, and vote as if you are just a voting machine. You can't do that. You have to get your own personal principles in yourself, know the duty that you have to read, you have to know what you are voting for, then you move on. So for me, what I would want to say is this. Whether the president wants to bring on board as many as possible, when it comes to voting for what is for good for the country, it has to be taken that way. And I want to go back to last parliament, when we came to the issue of the BBI. When the current president, had gone with a junk of MPs on his side, we got 234 votes for the BBI. And most of the people also who voted were on his side, despite the fact that he was not for it. So what does it mean? You read what is good for your people and you vote for what is good for your people. So I don't want to say whether he brings on board as many as possible for his work to move on. It will just be business as usual. A very bad bill, we will definitely oppose a bad bill. We will not support just raising anything on the floor for the purpose of this is a number. No.
As Chief Whip, did you get that kind of opposition in your tenure as Chief Whip in the 12th Parliament? Because we talk about the 12th Parliament here, and we say that 12th Parliament really failed Kenyans on several fronts.
Like
on
which one?
The cost of living, on bills the debt ceiling, on bills that would come to Parliament and they just pass, or budget that would be brought to Parliament and Parliament just approves that budget without the necessary checks and balances.
That statement...
Are there times,
yes.
Let me just go to the question, then we can discuss. Are there times when, as the Chief Whip, you whip your members and tell them, this is the bill and this is what we are thinking as a majority to vote, and some members would tell you, no, I'm not going to vote this way?
Definitely. There are very many areas when members could say no. And we could, look, the only parliament where we withdrew 3 bills is the 12th parliament. Look, go to the Hansard. We had to invoke Standing Order number 30 to recall the bills while on the table while on the floor, because members would say this motion is not for the interest of Kenyans. And when members have said no, instead of shaming yourself, you have to withdraw the bill.
Which are these 3 bills, Mheshimiwa?
I don't recall them very well, but there are 3 circumstances where we withdrew the bills on the floor
for further consultation.
Kimunya. I can get it and give it back to you.
Let me ask you. Let me ask the question differently.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest success, or some of the biggest successes of the 12th Parliament?
Having navigated a disjointed government, having navigated a government where the president was speaking A and his deputy was speaking B, and we put our ears closed and navigated the House until the House had to go adjourn Sinadai. That is my biggest success.
How did that help the country and the Mwananchi?
It's the same way like asking, why is Parliament there? How does it help Mwananchi or the government?
That is precisely what I'm asking.
Yes. To me, Parliament is where all the laws are made. And if we made any law that maybe it's offensive or whatever, that's why we are under check by the judiciary. So according to me, there is no law that is before any judicial court anywhere, maybe to say we did something wrong on 1, 2, 3 fronts. So since I'm not in receipt of any, that's the biggest, the good thing that I did.
The list that I have is long.
Yeah.
Of the things that you ought to have done and you didn't do. But the one which I look at, and I don't know how to handle, even how to think about, is how you allowed the debt ceilings to keep going up and up and up and up, knowing full well what the consequences would be. Now, we had not foreseen COVID, but then it did happen. And now, today, here we are. Life is literally unaffordable for literally every citizen in this country. Now, that one falls squarely at the doorstep of the 12th Parliament.
I want to appreciate that. Who has taken a position to reject that budget? The president. Wait, the president. It takes one man to lead a country, not 10 men. So if there was anything that we had no choice to do, but to move as one. Remember, the current Right Honorable Raila Odinga and President Uhuru we were working as one. The move was one.
Yeah.
The chairman of finance, which deals with the debt ceiling, and then in terms of collection, was Gladys Wanga.
Yeah.
A very astute politician. The chair budget was Honorable Kanini Keka. So definitely, it must have been an issue discussed by the president and with the know of
the ODM leader.
The ODM leader. Otherwise, we could not have made it that position the way it is. Sometimes, some situations are criticized by media, and yet other facts underlying are not put bare to you. So maybe we can invoke and get more facts onto why that was proposed, without really just saying the debt ceiling was approved blatantly.
So there could be more.
There could be more reasons. I do not expect my party leader to have just said, let us push it. We cannot. And Raila Odinga has fought for this country. He has a lot of wisdom to direct this country. He was on the forefront with us. So definitely, there are more reasons that he can give to you. One day, if you get an opportunity to interrogate him, he can give them to you.
We ask him, huh?
Yes.
I want to ask the final question. Currently, the government is deploying the KDF to go and deal with bandits in the north. Should Parliament have given the approval before that deployment?
I like the way the president of Law Society has put it, and he has got a response from two ministers, Honorable Duale, former majority leader, and Professor Kindiki, a professor of law.
And former deputy speaker.
Fortunately, Eric, in politics, you'll never lack excuse. The answer is KDF has gone behind the Kenya police. Article 241 of the Constitution empowers the Minister for Interior to do that. But if you look at it like, which is the superior force, KDF or Kenya police, it also allows the president to deploy the army to protect the Kenyan people and come back to parliament.
In the instance of an emergency.
In the situation of an emergency.
Okay.
Yes.
And an emergency
yes.
is clearly stipulated what an emergency is in the Constitution.
Who declares an emergency in the country?
No, there is a difference between emergency, the way he's saying, and state of emergency. What you're asking is state of emergency.
Yes. That's what I'm asking.
Yes. And then you are talking of emergency.
Yes.
So which is which?
Both.
President declares state of emergency.
Is there any other emergency?
The way you put it is clarify, Eric. It was navigating emergency.
Add the word state off before my emergency.
If you add the word state of emergency, and then it becomes it is the president. But the president is not bound that is only under state of emergency. You cannot allow the president is mandated to protect the lives of Kenyan people.
Yes, he is.
And when you look at what was happening in the north, when he was in Nakuru and he talked of the police keeping Kindiki in the north for as long as is there. How about if Kindiki himself was not even allowed to exit?
So he didn't need to seek parliamentary approval in order for this to happen?
No, the president has the power to release the army, then he comes to seek for
approval over something that has already been done.
Yes.
So you have no choice but to approve then?
Definitely. you see what when it comes to security.
Our time is up.
No. When it comes to security, it's not a compromise. Yeah.
Security is paramount.
Is paramount.
Mheshimiwa Emmanuel Wangwe, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us today. Mheshimiwa is the MP for Navakolo and Chairman PIC on Social, Admin, Health and Agriculture. Keep it here for more. Good morning, 8 a.m.
Good morning, this is Newsroom. Dennis Aseto. A showdown is looming in Parliament this week when the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee begins to look at a memorandum seeking constitutional changes proposed by President William Ruto. While legislators loyal to the Azimio coalition have indicated by all means that they will oppose the memorandum, the Kenya Kwanza colleagues are keen on using their numerical strength to push the proposals past the Standing Committee and on the floor of the House for debate and passage. In a memorandum dated December 9, 2022, addressed to the speakers of both Houses of Parliament, President William Ruto proposed an amendment to the Constitution enacted in 2010. The President wanted a relook into Chapter 9 of the Constitution to create the office of the official leader of opposition, an amendment to establish a formula that will guide the computation of a gender ratio in the National Assembly, the entrenchment of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, and the amendment of the standing orders to allow cabinet secretaries participate directly in parliamentary proceedings. And leaders from Baringa County have challenged a move by the Law Society of Kenya to protest the deployment of Kenya Defence Forces soldiers to the bandit-prone areas. Speaking during the burial of Tony Barkuto, who was killed by bandits, the leaders defended the decision by the government to deploy KDF to quell banditry in all affected areas. Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and SMEs Simon Chilugui said government is committed to end banditry, adding that already security officers have already been in the ground to face off the bandits. This as tension is high in Isiolo County after locals were attacked by bandits and killed 3 people, among them a police reservist.
Or mimi hata sijui ni kama media yetu haifiki penye inahitajika. Or I don't know kama kuna profiling ambaye sisi tunaonekana. These are Al-Shabaabs, they don't need our helps. Na wale wengine ndo wako na kura. Sisi operation sisi hatuoni. Then the county government of Isiolo haitusaidii. Wale maaskari wenye wako hapa actually waondoke tu. I don't know kama wanadeal na robberies only. Maiti leo ilipatikana saa 2. Tumeshindwa single person officer kwenda pale. It is very shameful that anatoka hapa saa 10. Saa 10. Can you just imagine mtu anaondoka hapa saa 10 kwenda kunichukulia maiti and not even to defend me.
Area locals led by Osman Sharif Abukar are now accusing security agencies of sleeping on the job and not giving them the security they deserve.
Sending a lot of security apparatus there is no need. Me personally, I have that opinion of not even sending a single security there. You're supposed to deal with the leaders, the local leaders, the clan leaders who are there. Because even during the campaign, you cannot go to a certain area without a leader representing that clan. Why are we not held them responsible if anything's happened? Because it is a matter of interrogating them. Because some of them even have a history of criminal records who are even there working in a county assembly. So there is no need of us shying away from the reality.
Police in Kisii have launched an investigation following ugly scenes witnessed in Kisii Town's Central Business District Saturday evening as pro-Azimio and pro-UDA youths clashed. The weekend incident left at least 10 who sustained machete injuries hospitalized at the Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital. Kisii Governor Simbarati, while speaking at the hospital where the youths are still receiving treatment, claimed that security personnel were reluctant in quelling the tension between the rival parties.
These people voted for the government, whereas others voted for Raila Amolo Odinga. Let us, and that was their democratic right. I want to plead with you once more again that please leave the Kisis to operate their normal lives as it's been. When the police you turn against the people, will take steps to make sure security ourselves we have enhanced it in our county. Otherwise, as from Monday, I'm taking the necessary actions to make sure my people, they are safe. Anybody who must have been involved in this exercise, we want to see them being brought to book with immediate effect. If you don't, we will bring them to you.
And Kenya will continue to support a stable and peaceful Somalia for the benefit of its people and East Africa region. Speaking when he met the President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Hassan Mahmoud, on the sidelines of the AU summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, President William Ruto said a peaceful Somalia will provide a conducive atmosphere for increased trade between the two nations. Kenya has been a key ally in Somalia's peace and security matters for over a decade, especially in the fight against terror groups such as the Al-Shabaab. Besides bilateral agreements, Kenya is a major troop contributor to the African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, we've got traffic on the Thika Superhighway. Kiambu Road is doing some crazy things to people this morning because the traffic, is there a color that's redder than red? Traffic is all the way through towards Muthaiga Square today. It's inching very, very slowly, and folks are asking, what is going on today? All right, Jogo Road is moving, not too much of an issue. Traffic is heavy, but it's moving out towards Landys Road. What else are we looking at today? Mombasa Road not looking too bad at all. In and outbound traffic is looking all right. As you get to the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, you should be okay. Coming out of Westlands, we see some because Naivasha Road is giving this morning, and it's also connecting with what's coming off of Gong Road, and that's all then piling up on James Gishiro, spilling over to Wayaki Way into the city today. Limuru Road is also very, very busy right around now. Monday morning, all the flows of traffic in many, many, many different directions. Let us know what's going on where you are. If you find a good route that you can use, let us know. The Southern Bypass raising her hand and saying, please, I am here. Not much traffic there. There's an option for you to get in and out of the city. Talk to us this morning on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, it's 7 minutes after 8. Welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. We're here until 10 a.m. this 20th day of February 2023. Do you remember the day that Moja Expressway commemorated the 10 millionth road user on the expressway?
Do I remember the day?
It was the 7th of February.
2023.
This year, just the other day. They commemorated 10 millionth user on the expressway. So
Leo they are beyond 10 million.
It's basically 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
And that's the day when Ken has said in the next 8 weeks we'll begin to see.
In the next 8 weeks, we begin to see road works begin on Mombasa Road, the original Mombasa Road.
We have.
OG. Yeah.
We have seen roadworks beginning.
Where?
There was another mover that got stuck in the middle of the road the other day.
Oh, so something was moving.
And there was a huge traffic jam. So there's, yes. So, and I've seen some people walking up and down. If it's a question of presence, there is a sign that something is about to begin. You know those heavy machines that look like praying mantises, but metallic ones, which go around plowing into the ground?
Yes.
Okay, I saw them.
I love the analogy. Praying mantises.
You've seen them?
Yeah, I saw two on Saturday.
Yeah.
Where exactly?
Those ones have been there
Been there for a minute, CT.
Since the expressway, since they began construction on the expressway.
People started using the expressway.
Yes, but not always on the road. This was on your way now to Mombasa. I met them not very far from where we are currently domiciled. Yes, and something had happened, so it wasn't quite moving. So we had to move in a single lane. So, and then the one immediately behind it was clearly digging something in the road. So the roadworks have begun. That's really my point.
No, what he's trying to tell you is that what you saw happening has been happening ever since the expressway.
But this is not
various
my
sections
point,
of the road.
that the roadworks has always begun.
It's the second week into the 8-week period.
So 6 weeks to go, and then you'll see some action.
Yeah.
Now, if you thought what you were seeing was the thing, almost 6 weeks, it will be like
Ken has says
Darth Vader.
They will begin doing things.
It's all right.
Those
more
now
footbridges will come. They'll expand. You know, you don't know whether Mombasa Road is 2 lanes or 3 lanes. At some point, you're on the 3rd lane, and then it just goes
and
and
nothing.
It ends.
So it can disappear for you.
Now you will know. After they finish, You'll know exactly where you
After
are, where
8
you're
weeks, they'll know whether they're going to make it 8 or
The
8
thi-
lanes
the
or 2
thing
lanes.
the thing I really find puzzling,
Yeah.
in all honesty, genuinely puzzling, is how it is you can have a design for such a marvelous contraption, because this thing is wonderful. Okay, you travel on it, you feel really good to the point where you can even forget where you're supposed to have branched off. Okay, it's a nice thing.
The expressway.
Yes, the express is what I'm referring to. I cannot believe, and if I'm to believe, I can't understand my own belief, how it is somebody could design such a wonderful thing and not understand everything else that goes with it. Like bus stops, like places for Wananchi or Tukufu to walk across. Okay? How to return the road that is not the expressway to the form it was in before. I mean,
it befuddles your mind.
yeah, it befuddles my mind, but only up to a point, because I believe in all sincerity, because this is Kenya. Those plans were there, those designs were there, and the costing of them was also included. Now that budget is what falls into the category of what we were told here by Mheshimiwa Shakil Shabir, budgeted corruption, meaning you budget for it and then it disappears, but the money has been expended.
You know that there's the existence of it, but you're
Yes.
not quite sure, like the Bermuda Triangle, something you just enter and then it warps, or like the Loch Ness Monster, you've heard of it, but you're not quite sure.
Yeah, but
you know,
but then this one, the state of the road that we are speaking of is in infinitely worse repair. It's not slight. Dug up areas still remain dug up. If it rains on the side of the road and you're walking in
pedestrian
mud,
footpaths,
nothing, no bus stop, nothing.
how about we discuss here at General Motors when you're supposed to be able to be coming from the city and then you would like to make a turn at what used to be the bus stop on General Motors going now towards the city. It's been closed off again for the last, I don't know, give or take
They
3
created
months.
a roundabout.
Yes.
And then they closed off the roundabout.
The problem being that once you make the turn, you find yourself in the bus stop. And remember, there's incoming traffic from the Imara Drift.
Yep.
So there's a bit
And
of a
you tell me,
design flaw here.
How?
So it looks like the only option then will be for them to dismantle the whole thing or increase a lane.
Do you have any idea of the wealth of expertise and knowledge that Kenya has?
One would hope.
No. They exist, believe me. In terms of the portfolio, the people who work there are unemployed. Even someone who's deployed to oversee this, that person is amply qualified.
Yep.
In terms of the design for these things, there is no fault there. The problem comes in what we see. We say, but how did this happen? You see my confusion?
If the design was flawless, etc., the concept then came from mind to paper, and then then what happened? Because this is a perfect example of how things can actually go south.
So what had they designed a roundabout at General
What
Motors?
had been designed
or
right
had
here
they
at General
designed
Motors?
2 U-turns? Or
Or
had they
what?
designed... What
without
was...
taking the bus stop into
With
consideration.
the expertise and everything
The
else.
solutions.
Now,
career.
do you understand my puzzlement? Because I've seen roundabouts, okay? I've seen the old roundabouts. I've seen some modern roundabouts. If you go along Dennis Street Road, there is that route that then goes into Kileleshwa, and then you go to Lavington. There are like 2.5 roundabouts there. Those things work. They're fascinating to watch. Just how it works.
Yep.
You can go almost anywhere using that roundabout. Go back, go round, and not quite
Kenya.
round. Same Kenya. So I'm thinking, a major highway like this one, are you telling me the traffic flow was already there? It's not as though it was invented with the expressway.
What makes me happy is that every now and then they open it again. They say, okay, let's see if it's because the sun is shining a little bit differently in January. Let's see if we can move
They
traffic
test.
different. Then they open, they say, let's test and see. And they say, no, it's still not working. Our
No.
prayers did not work. We close it again.
Don't
It's
take that
great
thing as a
stuff.
given. Those of us who have to travel to the other side, I gave up completely. I don't care whether they open it or not. I route what you call road C. Because every time they give you that hope that it's open, and you arrive there and it's closed, you can't turn, you can't reverse.
No, you must now go. And if you
Cabanas.
miss the turn at Cabanas, you're going to the airport, my friend.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now you tell me. There's the joy of going to the airport. I don't mind watching planes, flying in and so forth. But in the middle of the day, for heaven's sake, I've got things to do.
So lest we forget, Kenya National Highways Authority, our good friends, we are counting down. You
We're
said
here.
8 weeks, and we're counting down to the 8 weeks. Then also there's that section from ABC Place to Rironi. And
That one.
people of Odheru, people of the entire stretch up to Regan,
Look,
they are waiting for you to
people
wake
who
up.
grew up, people were born, they finished Form 4. They wrote KCSE. They wrote KCSE in December. That road is still like that. Adults, their whole life. They've seen that
You
road
know,
that
it is
way.
folklore is created. These roads and the expressway, folklore. They'll be giving example. like, you know,
Once
that
upon
street
a
from
time.
ABC to Rironi. Once upon a time, there'll be folklore. Remember your uncle so-and-so whom we were told disappeared? He was crossing that particular expressway. And he never came back. So the expressway will be a reference point for many things.
It's really unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. We've invited the Honorable Isaac Mwaura, former nominated senator, to come and join us this hour. He's running late. Or is he not coming? Edna. Okay, he's doing his thing.
Something.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. And it's talking about the appointments in government. And those appointments are actually the point of conversation. Dennis Aseto has played a clip of the Deputy President speaking yesterday. Let me get that clip so that we can just play it here for you to hear. The Deputy President was speaking somewhere in Kericho. And he was saying, look, we are in government. We are, putting together all the threads for government. We have appointed cabinet secretaries. We've appointed principal secretaries. We have now been given the green light by the courts to go ahead and appoint chief administrative secretaries. We're appointing CEOs and board chairpersons and board members into various parastatals. We are creating task forces and this and the other to look at how to go about it. The president is appointing advisors, and he has advisors. But all these things, the people that they belong to. This is what Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said.
Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Si ndio? Ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni, wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Na itakuwa namna hiyo. Najua wengine wananikashifu ati mimi nasema ati wale walipanda wavune kwanza. Iko makosa? Iko makosa? Hata hao watavuna lakini wangoje. Si wale walipanda na wavune kwanza. Wakishavuna wavune ile tabaki kidogo, wale wakupanda waingie watafute huko nini ile itapatikana wachukue wakwe.
Ndu? You understand Swahili pretty well.
Yeah.
What do you understand the Deputy President to be saying?
So you sow the seed. Then it has grown. We, the farmers, we the farm, President William Ruto and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, we are the farm. You've sowed in us. Now it's time to harvest. You're reaping. Whatever is left for anybody else, then they can come. But we are going to give the people who sowed the seed the majority share in this farm. It is for you, after all. You've bought shares into the government. You reap and reap. Now you choose to define reap as you would like. However you want to define reap is up to you. But anybody who didn't sow a seed in this government of ours, mine and the president, sorry, you have no place here. But the rest of you, you reap and reap. Whatever is left out in Guinea, those other people. Yeah,
City, what do you understand?
They will get. We're divvying up the government.
I actually don't understand it at all because what he's speaking about makes sense. And he's talking about the investment that people made, the way you make an investment in a company, and where the shares you own are a representation or reflect on what it is that you invested in that particular company. Now, I'm not certain about the investment he is speaking about. Is it those who voted for Kenya Kwanza? Is it those who supported individuals, like somebody went and supported the president directly, supported him directly, supported members of parliaments, supported the stalwarts? I am not certain what it is that he's saying. But if he's talking about the rewards that come to those who support those who are in the top leadership of any party, who end up being president and deputy, what he's talking about is not unusual. It is not something strange, neither is it peculiar to Kenya. A political party gets into power, they bring their stalwarts with them. They want to run the government, they choose people of their liking to help them run the government as they see fit. It's what is done. Yes. So if that is what he is talking about, then he is not talking about something unusual, something strange. He's talking about something that is
what
always
else could he
done.
possibly be talking about?
What else could he possibly be talking about?
If not for that?
It could be two things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It could be understood to be two things.
Sure.
One is about appointments into government and saying that we are going to first of all consider those who supported us,
yes.
those who were loyal. Those are the ones who are going to get the appointments. The other interpretation could be development and prioritization of development projects. That those who voted for us get the priority in terms of development projects, in terms of government focus and attention. And those that didn't, then wangoje kwanza, hao wengine wakipata wakuja wakote ili mabaki waende.
That interpretation, if it were true, would be a very unfortunate interpretation.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
It's for this very simple reason that you do not consider that whatever assistance, whatever help, whatever development that is needed by the people is not based on the need that they have. Because it doesn't matter who votes for whom. The thing about this country is that everybody pays tax. Tax isn't divvied out according to the political party you belong to. There are many unifying factors in the country. So I would assume that government projects are intended to benefit the country.
Okay.
Okay? That's what I would assume. That's why I'm saying if that interpretation were true, then it would take us back to a very, very long time in history when it was clear and obvious there were no pretenses about it. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. You don't side with KANU, tough luck. Okay?
You wait your turn.
You wait your turn. You're going to be chewing mud for a very long time to come.
But then let's go with the same interpretation.
For right,
all right?
now.
Let's go with the appointments. Why should appointments be skewed towards only those who supported you?
You see, I see nothing wrong with it.
Okay, why?
Because if appointments are based on the understanding that the people who are being appointed have the ability to be able to perform the task that will be assigned to them well, we don't have a shortage of manpower in this country who can do well. There is no shortage. Now, if you feel that the people who subscribe to whatever policies you have and the thinking you have belong to the party that you belong to, and those are the people you want to choose, by all means. By all means.
Or another question, I mean, you're looking at the same thing and flipping it on the other side. Why should government appointments then be reserved for those who are loyal in terms of support during a campaign season? Because that's what it looks like.
Why should it not be?
Why should they be?
But why shouldn't it be?
It's asking the same question that you've asked just now.
Because, as I said, I find...
How about you each answer your own questions? Yeah. Start with you.
No. We've understood it. We're asking you.
I'm throwing exam, my friend.
I'm throwing the question back. Why?
And look, and that's to say it would be...
Do you have an issue with that? Do you have an issue with appointments being prioritized for those who supported an administration during campaigns?
I have an issue if the appointments then were not given to individuals who are competent in their rights to be able to sort it out. That's my issue. That are you then giving these appointments solely based on the fact that this person was loyal to me? Or is the consideration being applied that this person is actually going to be good at this job and is going to actually be able to deliver the promises that we gave to the people? Now, the unfortunate thing, and not just in Kenya, the unfortunate thing is that many times you'll find that appointments have been made on a buddy-ish relationship. The loyalty card then has been played, and then you say, okay, I cannot but, Eric, give you this thing because, man, in the trenches, you really did it for me. So I have no option but to reward you. I am not thinking at that point, in many cases, whether you're competent to fulfill the duties that office requires. I have no problem whatsoever if these appointments are being given to loyal lieutenants who are also competent. My only problem is if it's purely for a reward. If it's purely
so far, do you feel any sense of appointments going to people who are undeserving?
No, I don't, because there's just not been enough time for us to see this thing play out.
So even the appointing authority also has not had time to actually know whether this person is truly competent or not.
The appointing authority, unfortunately, has a leg up more than we do, because one would assume that in the closets of their, conversation or such 1, 2, 3, or in previous work done, they know whether this person can actually do the business. They know whether this person, even at the very least, has a passion to get the job done, or is just thirsty, for whatever comes with the position. The appointing authority, when they sit with themselves and have a conversation between the three of them, me, myself, and I at night, they know without a shadow of doubt whether this person is going to be able to do the job or not.
I think you're giving this person superpowers.
Unfortunately,
because this,
it's just like a mother and their child.
If you've seen somebody being appointed, somebody has been appointed to the board of, let's say, Kenya Revenue Authority.
Yes.
All right. This person has never been on the board of Kenya Revenue Authority before. You don't expect that the president would know whether they will actually be competent enough to do the job of Kenya Revenue.
I think he would have an idea.
The current chairman, though, I think qualifies.
You do.
Because?
Yeah.
Is he not the one who had problems with KRA? Yes, if he had problems with KRA, he understands KRA very well.
So he has the competence.
Of course you have competence. When an organization has issues with you, the point where even the public knows they have issues, you understand those processes better than anybody who even works there. You know why? When you're at the receiving end, you see things very, very differently. Now, I'm taking the view that when such a person becomes chair, because he's been at the receiving end, there's someone who will steer the organization in understanding the Mwananchi's perspective, because he's been on that driver's seat of the Mwananchi, where they come at you. But if someone has been a corporate figure, that person's understanding of KRA will be limited. They may understand the tools by which KRA functions, and this needs to be moved right, and equitable this needs to be perpendicular to the other, and equitable that. That they may get very, very well. But in terms of understanding how these functions reflect on the Mwananchi, some of these things may look like the appointment was for whatever reason, but I'm simply saying that the understanding and the success of these appointments, let's talk about Serikali Kuu, main government, and talk about ministers. It has nothing to do with that minister's qualification, in my view. Nothing whatsoever.
No, it doesn't.
Even the permanent secretary. Now that, the accounting officer, the real work, the real work is below the permanent secretary. The administrative secretaries, the directors, these are the people who know what happens, and they're very rarely moved. And if they move from one ministry to the other. These are the technocrats. So my thinking, a CS who knows how to get along with these people and knows how to tap their knowledge will be extremely successful.
Absolutely. But then if you add in the element of somebody who then is competent in what they do, then what you have is a great dose of serendipity. That here you have somebody who was rewarded, but at the same time, they're able to actually do this job and steer the ship in the right direction. Okay?
Okay.
That is why in the previous government, remember what we were seeing? That it's as though the CSs didn't have a choice but to go with the government of the day, because they were given those positions because it was the appointing authority in the name of the executive who gave you this job. Where do you think your allegiance is going to lie? So today here
you're answerable to the appointing authority.
Exactly. You will answer to the appointing authority. Now, if you happen to be good at your job, then we say fantastic, because it is great and this person is competent.
Actually,
alongside the reward that they were given, this person is actually steering this thing in the right direction. Now, unfortunately, today, Kenyans, you will not be able to see whether this person is actually very good at their job until and unless time has doled out the test. Time has to dole out the test, and then you'll see, hold on a minute, who is this person and what is it that they're doing? My question is, unfortunately, when these rewards are being given out, the people of Kenya fall through the cracks. Every time. The people of Kenya fall through the cracks.
How do these appointees get to understand the vision that their president has, and how are they able to translate these things, given their various dockets, so that it actually benefits the citizenry? Because it is the citizenry who gave them those positions. Essentially, these are our servants and they work for us. So how do you ensure that the boss feels that this job they have enabled you to have by delegation, you are doing a good job of it? Now, herein lies the con. We have developed a certain way of doing things in this country, where if the leader is ready to be somebody who likes assent, he likes people who agree with him, everybody will agree with you. As to what they are doing and how they are going about it, it may work against the very, very, very things you set in motion. And yet, they are agreeing with you at every given turn. But it also gives this impression that if indeed the choices we are speaking of are to only serve a political purpose, which I don't believe they are, what you'll have is very many individuals working in silos. Everybody just looking after their own interest, purportedly with the vision of the leader, but working for their own interest.
For me, do you know what this does, though, unfortunately? Is that it sets, albeit of unfortunate precedent, that when you hear such words and then they are swallowed, then you think, good, then what must I do? I must play on the right side of rain all the time if I'm hoping to get an appointment in government in future.
Yeah.
Because I know that I will be in a position to reap. You people can hear me talking about your ideal situation, about work being done, development index, here. Reaping, I will reap. And that is your aspiration. And again, the people of Kenya fall through the cracks.
You see, you've got to put yourself in that position, all right? So, yeah, you've gone to school. Yes, you've studied. Yes, you've got all these qualifications. Yes, you've had the experience. You want a certain job. That certain job, you've got to place yourself on the front line to get that job.
Yes.
You've got to place yourself in the eyesight of the appointing authority. How do you do that? You play the political card well.
Sure, and for me...
Or you align yourself well. You align yourself with somebody who's close to the person who's close to the person who's close to the deputy president, who's close to the president. So that then your name is floated around. Your name is among those that will appear on a list. Otherwise, you are competing with very many people who are equally or sometimes even more qualified than you are. And you can't just sit and expect that the president now is going to be able to know who is the most qualified when it comes to this and the other. Place yourself there.
What happens to the people, man?
The people?
The country, man.
Whoever is appointed is going to serve the people.
Okay.
We are not saying that whoever is appointed is that he now coming there and sitting back and not doing the job. No. You're positioning yourself. You want to be appointed the CS for this and the other, or the PS, or the CEO of Ketraco. And you're competent enough, you're qualified, you've got everything. You're not the only engineer in this country.
No.
There are many others.
You don't do every
With
time
PhD.
you're in those positions of authority, you are serving at the behest of the president, like in our country, and you must be serving the interests of the president, because the president has a way in which he wants the country to run.
Yeah.
The things he wants to achieve. You are the people who've been appointed to ensure that those things get done. So there is no escaping it. Now, your competence, believe me, will be seen. Whether you are equal to the task, that
Your competence or lack of it?
Or lack of it thereof.
Yes.
Why you don't find me foaming at the mouth when I'm debating this? Because it is not a difficult thing. I mentioned to my colleagues whom I was with on Saturday, it's what a former housemate of mine in school called a looking thing. Meaning, this one you just look and see. You don't.
It will not take long to reveal itself.
Yeah, you don't have to worry too much
Just
about it.
sit back.
Just sit back. It'll be clear.
come.
Observe.
Yes. Yeah, just sit back.
Let's open the phone lines after we take this break. 0719-012-600. The Deputy President has said, hii serikali ni kama kampuni na iko na shareholders. Hao shareholders ndio wanakula kwanza kukula dividend. You planted, you sowed, you umepalilia, umemwagilia maji, umeweka mbolea, umefika mahali ya kuvuna. Wale walipanda ndio wanakuja kuvuna kwanza. Ikibaki wao wengine sasa wakuja. Isipobaki, it's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Waliopanda ni wengi na mazao ni machache. 27 minutes to 9. Tell us about Showmax.
Showmax is saying this month in a give. So what are you subscribing to? What package are you subscribing to this month? They'll give you an extra month for free. This month of February, whatever it is, from your TV series to your movies, your documentaries, your sports events, etc., etc., pay for it, and Showmax will give you 1 month free for as little as 300 shillings a month. Showmax in a give.
Indeed it does. I'm also reminding you about Emirates. Emirates first and business class. This is where basically if you're just going on holiday, your holiday begins up there in the air. All right? It's like a hotel in the sky. Just imagine stepping from your first class private suite into the shower spa, pampering yourself with exclusive spa products before a pre-dinner cocktail in the onboard bar. All this happening on the Emirates A380. We had the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe here, who's actually been on the business class of the Emirates A380. He told us from Dubai to Beijing. And he was like, okay, this thing when it's taking off, you don't feel like you're taking off. You actually don't even notice you're up there on the second deck, on the upper deck. You don't notice it. You don't notice anything. It's just luxury up there. So when you talk about first class, business class, Emirates, A380, this is where you are on holiday before you land. We'll be taking a break shortly. Back in a moment.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman.
Exactly.
He stole a jet.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be lucky he was not court-martialed.
The Spice Drive. Big hair and the biggest hits from the best decade.
Indeed, it's all about hashtag Spice Drive, hashtag Quatch, KWACH, 3 to 7 in the PM.
The Spice Drive, only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Damn.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one. In a give, Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Sama kuamoka. Toast to luxury. In a give, single Cassie, girl power. Cheers! And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Having any fun yet?
Woo! In a give kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of one from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
Going to highs of 28 and lows of 15 today. Sunny conditions in Nakuru at 17, highs of 30 and lows of 12. We'll see lows of 11 in a sunny Nyeri at 14, going to highs of 28. It'll also go to highs of 28 in Eldoret, where it's sunny at 17. Sunny at 27 in Mombasa, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Malindi at 27. It's 24 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 34, and we'll see highs of 33 in Kakamega, where it's sunny at 24. 21 sunny conditions through Kampala, and we'll see highs of 32 in a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam. It's 18 and cloudy in Johannesburg this morning, highs of 25 and lows of 14, and we'll see lows of 24 in a hazy Lagos, going to highs of 34. 31 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 22.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
All right, so we're looking at a beehive of activity through most parts of the city this morning. Looking at Uhuru Highway through past Nyayo Stadium at the roundabout. Langata Road is also feeding on to that. Not too bad though, but Raila Odinga Way is busy this morning. Who's this? It's Ngong Road and it's coming off into the city. Folks were trying to run away and use the bypass, coming in from the southern bypass to connect to Ngong Road. It's not working very well because there's bumper-to-bumper traffic there as you're trying to connect right at the Prestige Plaza. Okay, so that's looking like that there. Looking at Maranga Road, then coming into the city at this roundabout is called what? Globe Cinema. There, doing some business there. It's busy coming out of Westlands. Wow, Kiambu Road, we thought it was getting better, but no cigar. Heavy traffic coming all the way from Muthaiga North Road. Very, very busy traffic there coming into the city. So traffic hour, boom, 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 everywhere. Let's keep an eye. We're going to hold a candle out for some less traffic. We'll keep an eye on that. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Mornings done right. Continue the conversation. We're talking about what the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said. This is about serikali ni ya nani, serikali ni ya huyu. Just listen in.
Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares, si ndio? Ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni, wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune, na itakuwa namna hiyo. Najua wengine wananikashifu ati mimi nasema ati wale walipanda wavune kwanza. Iko makosa? Iko makosa? Hata hao watavuna, lakini wangoje. Si wale walipanda na wavune kwanza.
So the thing is, what do you make of what the Deputy President is saying? Let's hear from you, 0719-012-600. Or you can also post your comment on our social media handles, SpiceFM KE, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. What are people saying on Twitter?
Politics is a game for the aristocrats, according to Alex Owiti. Citizens have never been a priority. It's like a hunt in the wild. They first eat the kill and then give the remains to those foaming at the mouth. Politics and democracy is a fallacy. Alex, why now? Okay. Gabriel Maio says, regardless of the interpretation of the HE and the DP comment takes, it's a perfect recipe for messy electioneering, which often takes tribal lines. So tribesmen will fight to the last man for power. Okay.
Because of how it's been put, so people will then be aligning so that they can reap directly from government.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is it. It's nothing else. That what can you get out of it? So then people are going to body up to you because they've heard you say this, and they're those who are going to take that very statement that you've made and they're going to apply it for anything that comes in the future or even anything that is currently present. It doesn't matter that you've said, okay, wait a minute, this is it then. It's a company and I can have shares. Yes.
Yeah, buy shares, dividends come, you
continue to reap.
Yeah.
Forget about the people and all those other fun things.
Alex in Kasarani, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Well.
Yeah, this morning.
What do you make of the Deputy President's words?
My take is, you remember, I have to want to take you a little bit back when there was this appointment of the
Yep.
And the Labour Party of Kenya rushed the court to ask the court to quash the risk because it had not met the inclusivity standards. And then subsequently the court dismissed the case, saying that the president was in line in what was expected of them. So to me that interpretation was the president and his brigade, they are the one who went on the hunt for the government. So they should be ready to read the government the way they want. Because why do you want to be in my government and yet you do not support me? You are not there when you are looking for the government. So he has the leeway to do what he wants with the government because it is him and his people who look for the government. So he gives the job to whoever he wants.
To those that are aligned to him. All right, we hear you.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you, Alex.
Yeah,
Asante. Papa in Nakuru.
Yes, good morning, my people.
Good morning, Papa.
Yes, very well. Now, when we were young people, we used to go hunt. And when we kill a gazelle, maybe KW don't listen to me. When we used to kill a gazelle, what we used to do, first of all, the person who has a dog, the dog that killed it, will get the
dog
which
itself.
Is steak. Yes, the dog which killed, the owner of that dog will get the steak ya nyuma. And the person who arrived at the stand where the gazelle has been felled down will get the other steak. And the rest will now follow up to the last person. So Brigade is very much within their right. They went to hunt, despite all the challenges and everything, they got the gazelle. So there is a noble thing for them to dispute among themselves first. But okay, we're among the people who they hunted with. But again, there's two different things that we must understand here. One is that they are in the government, they need to distribute amongst themselves. But to the normal Kenyans like me and you and the rest, we have service delivery that they should offer us. For example, good roads, hospitals, infrastructure, those service delivery is for every Kenyan. But when it comes to high table, kukula minofu, wacha kinagirikazi wakule minofu. That one I support.
Okay. Thank you, Papa.
Asante.
Have a good one. 0719-012-600. Let's hear from you. Eric, good morning.
Morning, Latif. How are you?
Very well.
Greet Ndu and the professor for me.
Professor.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Why do I suspect it is I who's being referred to?
Well, these are professors. We respect them.
Yes.
You know, for a wise leader, I think the deputy should have said the opposite. Exactly the opposite of what he said. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, there are those who did not vote for us, but given that we are now running the government, they'll get equal share. We are not discriminating anyone. Something like that.
Even if he didn't mean
Because
it.
it's obvious. It's obvious the opposite. I mean, whatever he says is true. But as a leader, you should weigh your words. You should know how to juggle words so that you appeal to the masses.
So don't say it openly.
You don't say it openly. Of course, it's happening, but why would you just go now rubbing it on people's faces that this is what we are doing?
All right, Eric,
Not
thank
wise.
you. Thank you.
You don't rub it on our faces.
Asante. Nelson in Mombasa.
Eric,
You're in a noisy car.
this is huyo ni chairman wa Arsenal Kenya. Yes, so what we are saying as a leader, you ought to be mpaka at least uwe na kiasi. There are things that you don't publicly say. You may be doing it in the background, lakini you don't just rub it on people. Kwamba now, if we didn't vote for you, now we'll be last in preference. You see that divides Kenyans. Kwamba instead of you now, you've taken up the position, so you serve everybody equally, regardless. But now, if you put to us, kwamba nyinyi ngojeeni huko nyuma, mtakuwa mwisho. I think it doesn't augur well for a leader of that stature.
All right,
of
Nelson.
that position. Yeah.
Asante.
So have a good day. Say hi to Ndu.
Cheers, man.
You too. Have a lovely one. John in Nairobi, good morning.
Hello to you. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I thought when the deputy president went and prayed in that mountain, probably he also secured a little bit of wisdom. I think when these kind of words come out from a leader, you create an incident, or rather a precedent that can drive, deep division between or among the people. One thing that we understand, yes, but I think they should keep it close, close to themselves. They should not speak this into public because it can lead into extreme division among the people. I know the other day we prayed for rain, but I think one of the main things that we need to pray for is better brains. And we'll begin praying for these leaders so that they can have better brains to communicate leadership, implement leadership, and if it's necessary, we can encourage him to go back to the mountain and pray also for wisdom. Thank you so much. I don't think it's a good idea.
Thank you, John. Zachary in Kakamega.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I also want to weigh in onto the issue. The DP statement caught me by shock. This idea of running the country on an us versus them mentality will not take us far. Because for government, I think it's basically two issues: government appointments and government projects. So without clarifying what he refers to, he is misleading us. Then secondly, I would want to disagree with the previous caller who made reference to a gazelle. When people went hunting and they managed to hunt down a gazelle, they would share among people who went hunting. But for government, if I extrapolate the issue of gazelle, that gazelle has to be shared by people who did not go hunting. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Zachary. Amos in Nairobi.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I'm equally surprised. And this is one of the reasons why we'll always fight politically. The political fights will never end because of the stake involved. Now, what we are forgetting is that these people are managing our resources. Whether you voted for the Kenya, the current government or not, we are demanded to pay tax. So, and as much as it is true that they went hunting, but the reality is it is our resources they are managing. So they can do it maybe at the back of their mind. They know what they're doing, but when they come publicly, they try to cheat us. Of course, we know, but they just try to cheat us. They're working for us. Otherwise, whatever you're seeing, the current political terrors in Kenya is because of the same things. Because I have a feeling that if I'm on top there, that is when I enjoy.
That's when you.
So I'll do anything. Yes. So I'll do anything possible to be on top. But I don't think that is the best precedence we should always set as a country.
I get you. Thank you, Amos. John in Kilimani.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Very well, John.
Yeah, two things. First, for me, I have no problem with what is happening. I mean, this is the practice all over the world. It's nothing new. You will always appoint that people that are aligned with your manifesto or with what you believe. But what I'm finding curious and interesting, that everybody who is calling, they have no problem with the practice, but the problem is it is being verbalized.
It's a public pronouncement.
Yes, that's what I'm finding perplexing.
Yeah.
That people have no problem with the practice, but when it is verbalized, then it becomes a problem. To me, if it is something wrong, then it doesn't matter if it is verbalized or if it is practiced, then it should be wrong.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
But for you, there's nothing wrong.
Yes. No, for me, there's nothing wrong. I mean, this is a practice all over the world. Look at the U.S., where a Democrat comes in within a year, all the ambassadors are changed. That's a practice all over the world. So there's nothing wrong.
Thank you, John. Moses in Nyeri.
Oh, how are you?
Hi.
Okay. Now, when Deputy President Gachagua speaks like that, you have to believe him. He has never lied. He is always honest. Whatever they talk in boardrooms and in hiding places, that is what he speaks in public.
He's an honest
First of all, he has told us now that there is no government. It is a private company that is owned by UDA members.
Okay.
Now, the consequences of this is that everybody will want to join the company.
This is it.
Yeah, to get the benefits of the company.
Yeah.
That is why there is a tent, or in quotes, that has been pitched in State House. Now the current tent has been shifted to State House now.
So it's a share drive.
It's a share. Yeah, it is. So there will be no opposition because you'll be sidelined. There will be no benefits. Hutavuna ukiwa nje. So ingia huko. So everybody will tend to join. That is a dangerous trend. Even now the church has to enter into the tent so that wavune. And there are some MOUs that were made, I think pre-election period.
So Moses, you have a problem with this. You have a problem with the fact that the government of the day appoints people who are aligned to the political leadership.
I have a big problem with that.
Why?
Because what if in this constitution the government is a minority? It's a minority one, So do you have now to kick out the majority of the people in Kenya? Because there can be an instance whereby the government can be in the minority side.
What do you mean by minority?
They can be voted by fewer people.
The president will never be in a minority. The president of the country will always be in the majority. It's 50% plus one vote.
Yeah, but the representative can be the majority in the National Assembly and the Senate.
Okay.
There can be a possibility at some point.
Yes.
So even if you want to push an agenda, it will be so difficult for you as a president if you have the minority representatives in the National Assembly and the Senate. So you have to push out a lot of people out of the government, out of the company. I think it's not a government anymore; it's a company. Yeah. So this company I have a problem with it. The word company talks of something that is private, owned by a few people, and for you to benefit, you have to enter and join and be loyal. Whatever the case, just be loyal with the company.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that because the people in the North Rift, the Pokot, all the tribes that did not vote for the current company will be out forever.
Thank you, Moses.
Don't you think so? Yeah, welcome.
He calls it a company. That's what the president,
that's what
the
deputy president
has
called
said
it.
anyway. It's a company with shareholders.
Do we have a problem when
investors.
somebody who speaks the truth as he sees it?
Yes.
Where's the problem?
Do you have a problem?
The
But
truth.
This is it. The truth is the problem. Truth rocks up and knocks you in the face. You have a problem with it. You may have, done a dance with it in your head. you may have, in the quietness discussed with it. But then when somebody's saying it pop and plain in the open, then you're like, hold on a minute.
Hide these things. I mean, you don't just
say
come
it outside. We may know. You and I may know, but see you. Don't say it in...
this, are we suggesting that our politics is like domestic issues that you never discuss outside the domestic setup?
Yes.
And you two went and discussed this thing before we came in and just agreeing quickly like this, surely. You're supposed to disagree.
That is the suggestion.
That's a suggestion.
You're asking whether that's a suggestion. That appears to be the suggestion.
As in, this is Niandani.
We
understand this is what we are doing, man. But hey, not just
we know that we will not allow our children. We will not actually engage and associate ourselves with neighbors so and so. But we're not going to stand out there and say,
"Hey, you neighbor, we're not talking to you today."
No. There's a con that we have imbibed and believed in. Every time we compare our politics to that of the West, we talk about this near perfect situation where the West do this. They do exactly this thing. It's exactly this. In fact,
it's not worse.
Theirs is even more blatant.
Yeah.
This US people like quoting. You're a senator or you're a congressman. You're given a budget to have staff. Somebody else employs all his relatives. I mean, there's no pretense about it at all. So why are we encouraging this pretense? If you are in power, this is what you will do. You see, the only caveat I would add, if indeed there's a caveat, is, are you aware of what you're setting in motion? Because a time will come when you will not be in power.
That's the thing. Because now you've set it in motion, and then those who will come after you, or those who will even at the moment who are gearing up for tomorrow, that's going to be the thing that you've set. Those are the wheels that you would have then started to oil, and they're starting to move. Because everybody, look, it was practiced, just like you're saying, practiced before, and that was the understanding that the people, the generals who we put in place are those who've been loyal to the executive, isn't it? Now, moving forward, and it's not really been said per se, people just kind of now blatant ho-ha. You invest with this person, they happen to come into the position of authority, you will reap.
Yes.
All these other things, put them to the side. Oh, the development of the country, representation of the people, working public service, etc., etc. Those are second tier.
Yes.
The first tier is you and your loyalty and the seed you have sown. Now you will reap and benefit. Now, if you want to hire your husband, your wife, if you want to hire your cousins, now that one, up to you.
Let me repeat what I've just said. A time will come when you're no longer in power.
Yes.
When people make all these rules, change the constitution, adjust this, fix the other, do you ensure that this is something that will suit you when you're not in power? Or is it that it suits you for the moment?
No, you know it will not suit you when you're not in power. That's why you're prepared.
That's why at this time, for the time that you will be in power, you will enjoy the benefits
Eric,
of it.
you've gotten my point exactly. Because there is a thereafter. Now that thereafter, that, in my mind, is always a caveat. By all means, say what you're saying. By all means, ensure that all your cronies are there. In fact, practice crony capitalism to its nth. In fact, kill it. Just don't apply any brakes.
Enjoy to the best of your ability.
But please bear in mind that you've set in motion something. Once upon a time, there was the pretense that corruption was something that in this country was something that was looked down upon, was supposedly frowned upon. We celebrate it now. Whenever you hear people talking about, this person is really clever, have you seen what he's done? That person has
corrupt.
Yes, exactly. They've gone and misappropriated funds that are meant for the wananchi and for development and for other things. And we discuss it as though it's an achievement.
It has been normalized.
Yes, precisely. Now, the consequence I'm speaking of, this is what happened when we had the Ndegwa Commission. And these people normalized conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Normalized it. They said, no, it's conflict of interest. It's normal. I am the account holder. I'm the one who decides which business, but I'm also allowed to do business.
Yes.
Hiya.
So I'll do the business.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay. Now we're seeing it in full bloom. Here we are.
This is the problem that we have. It's because we actually view government as a source of job, source of opportunity,
and
not
there
for service delivery.
Yes.
And that's why it's about, when you talk about working in public service, it is rewards. It should not be. If we all change our mindset into you work for government to serve and not to be rewarded for the work that you did in the trenches of the campaigns, then we'll have it different. Until then, those who are in the trenches today, they're in the trenches today because all of them are gearing towards a reward. If it was Azimio which was in government, the Azimio Corporation would be appointing Azimio shareholders into government, because that's why they spent all their sweat, tears, some of them blood, to get Azimio where it was. Anyway, conversations continue in the next hour. It's about the cost of living. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Kenya will continue to support a stable and peaceful Somalia for the benefit of its people and the East Africa region. Speaking when he met the President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Hassan Mahmoud, on the sidelines of the AU summit in Addis Ababa, President William Ruto said a peaceful Somalia will provide a conducive atmosphere for increased trade between the two nations. Kenya has been a key ally in Somalia's peace and security matters for over a decade, especially in the fight against terror groups such as Al-Shabaab. Besides bilateral agreements, Kenya is a major troop contributor to the African Union mission in Somalia. The Kenya Medical Research Institute Entomology Research Team has announced the discovery of a new malaria vector which poses a serious threat to Kenyans. In a statement from Acting Director General Samuel Kariuki, said the vector, known as Anopheles stephensi, was first detected in Laisamis and Saku sub-counties of Marsabit County, where the research was being conducted. The discovery, made alongside the Ministry of Health's Division of National Malaria Program, shows that the vector thrives in both urban and rural settings, which may translate to a high transmission rate. And 48 students escaped death narrowly in a road accident in the outskirts of Kitui town. The learners from both St. Augustine Kanyange Boys and St. Bridget Siomunyu girls sustained injuries in the accident that occurred at Majengo Estate Village near Kalundu River. The driver of the school bus was ferrying the students from both schools in Kitui Rural Constituency to St. Ursula Girls Secondary School in Tugutu, Kiangwati, in Kitui Central Constituency, lost control when he tried to avoid hitting a rider. According to Mark Ndete, who is the village administrator in Majengo, the students survived the crash. And police officers in Samburu County have recovered more firearms and 19 rounds of ammunition that were handed over by the local administrators. The assorted rifles include 6 AK-47, 1 Caribbean and 1 SHE. This comes in the wake of disarmament efforts conducted by the multi-agency security teams in the volatile North Rift region. The National Police Service urges the residents to continue cooperating with the multi-agency security team by surrendering illegal firearms and sharing any information that will lead to the restoration of peace and security in the disturbed areas. And a young man in his 20s died at Kitmikai Rock in Seme Sub-County, Kisumu County. The deceased was in the company of other worshippers who were praying on top of the rock, according to a local administrator, Absalom Ayo of Othany sub-location. The deceased fell from the rock and died in unclear circumstances. The rock is normally used as a shrine by many churches who visit to pray and fast. Oyo has announced that already they have suspended any further prayers at the rock until investigations is conducted into the death of the young man. And the African Union has insisted that it has a zero-tolerance policy towards unconstitutional change as it maintained its suspension of 4 military-ruled countries. The Sahel states of Burkina Faso, Guinea and Mali, as well as Sudan, were sanctioned by the Pan-African body after coups in recent years, but the AU said it was ready to help them return to democratic rule. The Regional Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS bloc, also said it has maintained sanctions on the 3 Sahel countries. West African leaders met on the sidelines of the AU summit to review the measures and discuss the progress in restoring civilian rule in the 3 states. And Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has made clear that the U.S. has no doubt China was seeking to surveil the U.S. via the balloon that was ultimately shot down off the coast of South Carolina earlier this month. Following the downing of the suspected Chinese spy balloon, the U.S. military downed 3 subsequent objects that were much smaller and are now believed to have not been tied to any country surveillance program. This is according to President Joe Biden. Instead, they were likely used for weather or research purposes by private entities. U.S. officials have said that the Chinese balloon, in contrast, had a payload or the equipment it was was carrying the size of roughly 3 buses and was capable of collecting signal intelligence and taking photos.
This was an opportunity to speak very clearly and very directly about the fact that China sent a surveillance balloon over our territory, violating our sovereignty, violating international law. And I told him quite simply that that was unacceptable and can never happen again. China is responsible for this action, and ultimately, as the leader of the country, President Xi is responsible. It's one of the reasons it was important for me, on behalf of President Biden, to share directly with the most senior Chinese foreign policy official the very clear determination that this must not happen again.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and we're looking at traffic still busy in the city this morning. Let's look at that Kiambu Road. Must be an issue here because it's very, very heavy. From Muthaiga North Road, it's not letting up at all. Heavy traffic still coming in towards Muthaiga Square, whereas it's letting up a little bit on the Thika Superhighway as you approach the Pangani Underpass. Coming out of Westlands, also just a little bit more comfortable. Off of James Gishiru, not so heavy. We're looking at quite some of it on Oloi Tok Tok this morning, heading out towards Chiromo. That's busy right now. Limuru Road also busy. Coming off of Uhuru Highway into the city centre is busy as well. Landis Road is doing the business today. As we touch on Kamkunji, that's going to be there for some time. So we'll keep an eye on it. Monday morning traffic coming to an end in about an hour or so. Let's keep an eye on things and see what happens. Talk to us in the meantime on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It is 7 minutes after 9. We're on to the final hour of The Situation Room today, Monday, 20th of February 2022. And February has been a good month for people who like Showmax.
Indeed, it is, because this month, February, Showmax is saying that whatever package you subscribe to, pay for it, and they'll give you an extra month free. That means you pay for it this month, they'll give you the next month for free on what you pay. So at least 300 shillings, minimum package of 300 shillings, and they'll give you another month free. Showmax in a give.
In a give, kabisa. We have a new guest joining us in the studio. Peter Mushendo is a governance expert. He's been here before. He's here to talk about the cost of living. He'll be joined by Calvin Sokoth, who is the president of the Bunge la Wananchi. Calvin is late. Let's hope he gets here on time. City?
Yes?
Why don't you welcome Peter with the day's proverb?
The whole of this week, Peter, will be... our proverbs will be from the country of Tanzania.
Our neighbors.
Our immediate neighbors, yes. Where trees are, there are masons.
That's a good one, because trees should be attributed to carpenters.
Yes.
While masons are attributed to stones.
Yes.
Then that means that if there is presence of tree, carpenters are nowhere to be seen. And I guess that's a good one, because the proverb actually sees a situation where a carpenter and the trees cannot coexist. And that is a very sad affair and reality of life in Africa today. Because if you want to see it from the environmental perspective, as the proverb direct meaning would be, then we have a problem on how we are dealing with the environment and what is surrounding us. If you want to see it from a government perspective, then you are saying that if you see development happening somewhere, there is likelihood that politicians are not involved. Because today politicians and development have become like an estranged husband and wife. So I think it's a very interesting proverb, and I look forward to learn some more proverbs from Tanzania.
From Tanzania.
Very interesting.
This week will all be about Tanzania.
I'm telling you.
Okay. Thank you for joining us again, Peter.
Most welcome. It's always an honor to be here. I mean, it's the greatest conversation we have every other morning.
Indeed.
I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday when I sent him the poster that I'm coming. Apparently, situation room is a very big thing in Nakuru. He works in a farm that sells cars. And apparently they have put some speakers all over the yard. And the situation room is a must reason. So
Tuma Salamu, let them know.
Yes, so my brother Ras and your wife at Nakuru and your workmates, say hi from SpiceFM and Situation Room, and thanks for always tuning.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Ras, and your colleagues for always keeping it locked.
Yes.
Cost of living. The last time we were here, we were talking about the government and its focus.
Yes.
The focus appeared to have been in all these things. There were political rallies by the opposition. There were political rallies by the government. Has that changed? We are still seeing rallies by the opposition and prayer rallies by the government. And the conversation about the cost of living somehow seems to have taken a back foot.
Well, I'll say this, and I say this without fear of contradiction. Because this is a fact. I am a villager. Typically, I'm a villager. I live in a village. It's only that I come to town to work. But I am a villager naturally. And I'm not trying to take a title. There's a friend of mine called Robert Few who calls himself a villager. But I'm saying I'm a villager. That tells you every other evening when I'm heading home, I'll probably pop by the town and find my Nduthi guys there, mtu wa kahawa. I'll buy the entire bucket of coffee and we will sit down and talk with those young men. And I can tell you the conversation in the village has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation at the center stage today. Yeah, they are worlds apart. Because the conversation in the village is, how am I going to get a job for my son? How am I going to get a job and feed my young family? How am I going to get capital and start a small business that would earn me something? Now, that is a conversation that is in the village. The conversation in the village does not, the villagers there do not care how many rallies Raila Odinga will do. The villagers there do not care how many back and forth talking, speaking or shout to each other by the two sides of the divide are talking about. Their conversation is how to put a daily bread on the table. And I believe, and you know, the opposition is around to speak about anything they feel like, because the opposition are like, they are like those people who are not invited to a party, but from where they are, they can see what is happening in the party. So they will shout, they will say the food was not cooked well, the people there were not dressed well, the music was not good. They will shout about anything because they are outside looking in. But government does not have the luxury of taking time to answer the opposition. Government has the luxury of delivering on the mandate that we promised Kenyans that we will. And one of the major platforms that we campaigned on was on how to lower the cost of living. I don't expect it to be magical, but I expect to be given hope that something is being done. The rhetoric currently that is on the center stage of the national conversation does not inspire hope in Kenyans.
What's that rhetoric? Because you're saying what's happening.
You see, the rhetoric.
The village conversation is
Yes.
not the same as the center conversation.
You see, the rhetoric right now, it is Raila Odinga will shout something today. Somebody in government or supporting government will take time to answer him. Raila will respond to what was answered. And the person who answered him will respond to the response by Raila Odinga. And the cycle continues. And the conversation on how to help the common mwananchi is lost somewhere between. And that is the sad state of affairs today. Because let me tell you, for everything to happen in government, Eric, it has to start with a conversation. Because conversations are the one that drives people into action. Because we will start it as a conversation. That conversation will probably lead us to somewhere where we may need to amend laws, say like our tax laws, all our import laws, all our employment laws. And then once we get there, we start now talking about what do we amend to help Kenyans. So if something is not on the on the table where the conversation is happening, it means that something is being lost in between. And that is the sad state. Let me tell you, when Kenyans went to the ballot, and one of the things that you cannot deny is that the hope that the new government will bring something better for them is one of the inspirations sending Kenyans to the ballot.
Yep.
And the moment, as much as hope is very dangerous, because especially hope from Kenyan and African politicians is a very dangerous thing to rely on. But nonetheless, a human being is kept toward facing tomorrow because there is hope. Something good will come out of it. And the moment the people at the center of that the people at the center of that conversation do not inspire hope in Kenyans, then there is a problem. I was reasoning to you as I was taking my daughter to school in the morning, just before the MP from Kakamega came, and you are talking about the oil, the cooking oil. And when you look at the reason why government would import 125,000 tons of oil duty-free, well, companies, I don't want to mention companies, well, companies that are manufacturing here in Kenya are being charged about 7 or 8 levies on the product they bring. There is a very big disconnect between the local manufacturer and government. Because the people who is selling oil is actually selling oil at a high cost on things that do not actually concern his production. So you have levied tax on plastic holders, those plastic bottles,
containers.
You have levied tax on all oil producing plants. You have levied tax on equipment that come to do production. I mean, 7 different levies. 5 of the levies have nothing to do with the producer of that oil. And this local production, they are doing about 1.5 million metric tons of oil production in Kenya, accounting to around 61% of the production. What if you said, allow me to just touch, say like take Golden or whichever company. If a company is producing in such a magnitude, isn't it the work of government to give incentives to that person? I mean, if you are this company A, you are producing about 600,000 tons of oil every year. You have employed about 1,000 people. Is it possible we give you a tax relief so that you can increase production and employ 1,500 people? You get?
Yeah.
So the moment government does that, and a company employs 500 more employees, government attracts something called pay. So it is a reverse psychology. You don't tax the producer much. You allow him to expand and wait for him at the end. and you take the payee because that particular manufacturer has expanded the tax net for you.
Yep.
I mean, these are simple economics 101 that
think they're
I
logical?
believe government should apply and this country should move forward.
Yeah, indeed, in terms of what should be applied. What do you think then needs to happen? I'm thinking about, when a baby is uncomfortable, something pricks it here or something is too tight, the baby cries out, isn't it?
Yes.
Until you're forced to do something. And until you do something about it, the baby's going to keep crying.
That's the truth. I'll
Isn't
tell
it?
you.
So what needs to happen in this
I'll
case?
tell you. I have seen the Ministry of Industrialization and Investment have done what you call Dongokudu investment. Is it economic zones?
Yep.
In Mombasa. It is good to do the economic zone in Mombasa, but as you put up that economic zone, have you put into consideration our power regime? Is it favoring the person that is going to do production in Dongokundu? Is it going to the tax regime? Is it beneficial to that person who is doing that production? This is my belief. If I was part of that ministry, unfortunately I am not, I am not saying that Dongokudu is not a viable project. By all means, the economists who saw it light have their reasons. But this is what I will do. You remember we have now taken back the port activities back to Mombasa, and we have left the Naivasha dry port almost zero business. But I don't see it that way. I would put a serious economic zone in the next to Naivasha dry port. Why? Because if I do an economic zone in Naivasha dry port, I would eliminate somebody called Ketraco. Ketraco is the government parastatal that does electricity line. I would eliminate somebody called Kenya Power. Know what I'll do? I'll have Kengen, because geothermal is just a few meters away from there. I'll have Kengen sell power directly to manufacturers. It will reduce the cost of energy by almost 48%. And then, when a manufacturer manufactures at Naivasha Dry Port, he will put his product on the SGR, and the SGR will drop that product in Mombasa. One of the services at Nogokundu, it is go downs for storage. So that means, why would you want to do go downs for purposes of just storage? I mean, put that money in a place where somebody can do production, put his goods on the SGR, and the SGR will definitely deliver it on a vessel to whoever it's being exported to. So I'm just saying, one of the best things that we will do for manufacturing, because let me tell you, if you do not work on manufacturing and investment, taxing Kenyans is not going to bring this economy back on its feet.
Peter, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm saying today.
Yes.
I mean, and for sure, I also am with you there.
Yes.
There's no route towards being able to work in surplus, which is what you need for development.
Yes.
Unless you manufacture for you, unless you make your own. If you continue to buy from somebody else, you always continue to be in a depressed state. That's for sure. People who've been able to make it, we see make it, use that. Define that however you wish.
Yes.
But more often than not, their industries are thriving. They're
Yes.
manufacturing, they're making their own and exporting.
Yes.
However, today, Monday, the 20th of February, cooking oil is this much. Unga is this much. People don't have, we've been the last 1 week, we've been talking about how people cannot afford school fees. That's the depressed state of the nation today. That is the picture of the economy today. On one hand, there have been what Eric has been calling concerts. And people have been coming together and saying, okay, look, we've got to cry out about the situation until something be done about it. Should that be it? Should the people of the country say, look, this is enough, we cannot, you must do something about it, or we will stop doing 1, 2, 3?
I think...
is this the stuff that revolutions are made of?
I think you don't expect it to be magical that today we are in this situation, tomorrow we come out of it. But what we are saying is there must be seen actions that are promising tomorrow is going to be better, that even if we struggle today and tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, things are going to be better. Let me give you an example. Like right now, there is rumors, because it's not confirmed by the Ministry of Industrialization, that that 126,000 tons of oil has been exempted from all duties and levies. That translates to that the minister has the power to exempt levies and taxes on companies. Today, you have seen a company by the name of Noel closing down because of being placed with the dollar. Are we looking at the possibilities of helping those companies build up and come up again and give them tax holidays? If today you type on that computer or that phone you type something called Uganda Investment Authority. Here, our neighbor here, they have developed what we call economic zones, not just creating land like the way the other day in Kenya during the previous government, we came and we allocated nations dry shells of land next to the Naivasha dry port and told them we want them to build economic zones. If you go to Uganda, they are building economic zones. They have set aside land, they have built go down, they have brought power there. If Ratif wants to go and do right industry, like you want to be making flash doors, for instance, you just need to come with your raw materials, your equipment, and your employees. Warehouses are set, power is put. It is not the responsibility of an investor to come and do line up at Kenya Power every other day applying for electricity. Government ought to
How many of those
economic zones that if today Eric wants to produce, I will just come and raise, because you are going there, they are giving you a raise of up to 30 years. But now, an investor in Kenya will come and do his own feasibility study, will come and develop his business scenario, will start the process of certification. He will waste about 2.5 to 3 years doing things that government can do. That's the whole thing. And I mean, have you ever looked at how our fruits are doing in the Amazon online business? We are selling some of the best fruits. But for a producer of fruit in this country is a nightmare. That if today if you want to wake up tomorrow and start exporting orange, you will have to get 15 different certifications. And they are not based under the same umbrella. Before you can export one orange from here to the other country. So what is happening, Latif, is that one of the major things that government needs to relax immediately, that does not require parliament or anybody, it is don't over-regulate the industry. If you over-regulate the industry, because can you tell me,
is it the government over-regulating the industry, or is it the market?
No. It's the government, because we are the people. It's the government that is setting up these laws. Because I'm asking, if I need to get certification for me to do a business, I don't even have a problem doing 15 certification. But I will have a problem if I have to knock on every door 15 doors.
The cost of the certification.
Yes.
And
so, but if I can come to my brother here and apply and take my licenses on the other end, I don't have a problem. But I am paying for this certification. I have spent 4 months getting it. I cannot get certification number 2 without certification number 1. I go to number 2. I cannot get number 3 without number 1 and 2. Until number 15, before number 15 gives you certification, he will have to see the 14 other certifications. That is the tedious way of doing business that is making this country become so. So to answer her question is, we have developers who want to come and develop in Kenya. It is not a secret. We have Saudi people from Saudi who want to come and invest. The wealth of Saudi Arabian people, where savings of the government, the people of Saudi Arabia are put, they would want to come and invest here. You have people like from Netherlands, they have some of the best water technologies, they want to come and put here. But the regulations that we have put, can you tell me, who in his right mind decided that if somebody comes from Belgium, he has to cede 30% of ownership to a Kenyan? For what? He's not that Kenyan you are being told to give 30% ownership for your company to be legitimate here. Is not a carrier of your vision. He's not a carrier of your dream. He will probably be what we call briefcase cartels that are frustrating Kenyans here. And I think for me, if I want to start a business in Rwanda or in Malawi or probably somewhere in Gambia or wherever, I just need to have the right papers. Nobody is going to tell me to partner with any Gambian. I will work with anyone that I think is resonating with what I'm doing. But here, the moment you run in the country, be thinking who to give you a 30%. I mean, do you know what is 30% in a company? For instance, it's a lot of money.
But we're not the only country, Peter, that does this.
It's a very big shareholding.
We're not the only country that does this.
And then,
what is the logic behind it? I mean, what is the thinking behind it? We're not the only one.
I don't know. That
that
amendment was... No, but ours is very punitive. I mean, if you said 5%, it's fair enough. It's still a very big shareholding. But 5% is a very significant shareholding that somebody who has 5% cannot really stop you from doing development. But 30% is a very significant ownership of a company. For you to come and give it to a Kenyan who had no idea what is it that you intend to do. He just wants to be what you call silent partners. But in Kenya, they are not necessarily silent partners. They will be your worst nightmare in terms of certification.
They'll be wanting to
because
get you
other
out.
than 30%, they will want to milk you more. They will make the process tedious. They will make the process boring. I think
they'll want 100%.
Yeah,
Let's take a break.
Yes, I think that is what we need to have manufacturers start doing it in Kenya.
Peter Mushendo is a governance expert. He's our guest this hour. It's 9:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. This month of February, Showmax is doing the thing.
Indeed it is. How much you spend on your Showmax subscription, CT? Whatever it is, don't worry. Don't embarrass us here. Whatever it is that you spend, Showmax is going to give you an extra month free. Those documentaries that you like to watch, I know them. I know them. Showmax says it's okay. Just pay for the month, and then the next month, it's on us. Because this month, Showmax in a give.
Kabisa. Peter.
Yes.
Have you been on board Emirates?
No, I haven't.
The airline?
I have not, but I intend to.
Hey, you should.
I'm attending a conference in Dubai, so I don't know. We'll, I think in April.
In April?
Yes.
Now, next time you go on Emirates, go on to business class. Okay? In business class, you get everything. It's like nothing else in the skies. Relaxing in your own first-class private suite, checking to the shower, and if you're in business class, there is even from here to Dubai, there's no A380.
Yeah.
But if you were to leave Dubai and to go elsewhere, especially now the long-haul flights,
do somewhere in Chicago.
Like you go to China, you go to the Americas, you go to Chicago, the A380 business class, you're in the upper deck, there's a bar in there, you have your own bed, you can recline. It's actually a flat bed, and the dining is incredible. Some good meals, good drinks. As you enter like this, you're given a champagne welcoming drink,
It is not,
you're treated like royalty.
Like you went on the air, you're just like...
It's like you just entered a seven-star hotel.
In the sky.
Upper.
I mean, you're saying that jet lags is something you hear with other people.
No. Jet lag is for those other guys.
Jet lag is for the guys not on the upper deck.
No. If you want to fly better, fly with Emirates.
Oh, yes.
Time for a break. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one in a give. In a give, Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Sama kuamoka. Toast to luxury. In a give, single Cassie, girl power. Cheers! And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Haven't any fun yet?
Woo! In a give kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of one from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
Congratulations. You've seen the hand of the Lord. Thank you very much. I've earned another title today, this morning at SpiceFM. Mama Justice, I don't mind it.
Joel in Kericho.
Salama sana Heri, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama bwana, mambo namna gani?
Salama kabisa bro.
Mambo ya aina Moi kuliendaje?
Mambo ya aina Moi, vile nilikwambia ndugu yangu, alienda asubuhi na ile gari ya kwanza.
I must have missed it.
So did I.
Even if somebody was to render you irrelevant, there is still work you can do.
Okay, sawa.
I deserve to keep you accountable. You deserve to give me a report. You don't work for me. No, I don't work for you. You work for me.
Do you like that Freudian slip? Lovely, isn't it? Thank you very much.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, sunny conditions, what we're looking at in Nairobi for most of Monday. Highs of 28 and lows of 15. It's 21 and sunny in Nakuru. It'll go to highs of 30 and we'll see highs of 28 in a sunny area at 16. It's 20 and sunny in Eldoret. Highs of 28 and lows of 13. Partly sunny conditions at 29 in Mombasa. Highs of 32. And we'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's sunny at 28. 27 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 34 and lows of 20. And Kakamega, we'll see sunny conditions through Monday, going to highs of 33. It's 24 and sunny in Kampala, highs of 29 and lows of 18. And we'll see highs of 32 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 29. It's 19 and cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 25 and lows of 14. And there's a haze over Lagos at 25, highs of 34 and lows of 24. Monday's looking cloudy through the day for Kinshasa, highs of 31 and lows of 23. It's 5 degrees and sunny in Beijing, highs of 8 and lows of -6. It's 2 degrees and cloudy in Paris. We'll see highs of 13 and we'll see highs of 14 in a cloudy London at 8. It's 8 degrees still Sunday night, New York. Coming into Monday, highs of 15 and lows of 5.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
Continues in most parts of the city this morning, and we're looking at it still coming heavy off the Thika Superhighway, just at that Pangani underpass, but it's diminishing. We're also looking at it having looked a lot better now coming off of Kiambu Road. A little bit of traffic coming out of Westlands, but I think 'tis the hour when most of the traffic has disappeared. The Southern Bypass looked good all mornings. There's still an option for you to get into the city. Just that nook that then connected the Southern Bypass to Langata Road, and that seems to have cleared up for now, and traffic hour is over. Let's talk through the morning. Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Business news with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. Tea farmers allied to 10 factories within Murang'a County want the Kenya Tea Development Agency to reduce some of management costs in order to increase their earnings. The farmers in the final draft of the management agreement document they have submitted to KTDA want the tea factories to get more authority to run their operations. And local content creators are set to enjoy the fruits of their efforts after Smart Africa Group launched a content aggregation platform called Rifali. Dubbed as the Amazon for Africa content, Rifali will target users across the world who are looking for information and knowledge that suits them. Through the platform, publishers, bloggers, podcasts, influencers, and storytellers will upload their content and make money every time users download or stream their items. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has announced that Facebook and Instagram will launch a paid subscription service starting at $11.99 a month, allowing users to verify their accounts following a similar move by Elon Musk at Twitter. Meta Verified, which will roll out first in Australia and New Zealand this week, will let users verify an account with a government ID, get a blue badge, get extra impersonation protection against accounts claiming to be you, and get direct access to customer support. There will be no changes to accounts on Facebook and Instagram that are already verified. This is according to the company, adding that only users who are over the age of 18 will be allowed to subscribe. Zitech University is looking for a head of department in ICT and engineering with a master's degree in information technology with at least 3 years of teaching experience at the university level. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letters by 27th of February 2023. Visit jobs.digga.co.ke for more information on these and other jobs. Digga Jobs.
Spice FM, Nakuru. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Yeah, we continue the conversation. Cost of living. This is the conversation that ought to be front, right, bottom, left, and center. Of our conversation.
Okay.
Peter Moshendo is our guest as we continue this conversation. City.
You know, what Peter is saying, not only does it make sense, but it is supported by facts and it's supported by countries right across the globe. People who were economically in a far worse state than we are, far few opportunities, but took a certain path and focused on it, and have since grown. Do you know how big Singapore is? Do you know how big Hong Kong is?
You know?
And those countries have some of the largest volumes of ships coming to those places. Why? An island state, meaning it's like the country is a town. Okay? It is because they understood some of these fundamentals. Now, we have a lot more than that. And the thing that you will find puzzling is the very thing that Peter's talking about here. You wonder, now, with all these learned economists we have in the Ministry of Finance or in Treasury, because there are many, you cannot say that they do not know what to do. They do. So the eternal question is, why is it that they don't? You see, the United Arab Emirates, for example, the example he gave about the percentage that foreigners are supposed to give up. As a foreigner, you could not, this is in the past, own more than 49%. A private company, maximum percentage you will own 49. But they changed that. They did that for a season because they needed their people to grow and understand how these things are done. So you come in, they'll have their people there and they're learning. Now it's different. Now, we seem to be doing the complete opposite. We are regressing. We had ICDC. You know what ICDC was set up to do? The very thing that he was saying. To ensure that commercial and industrial businesses in this country have a financial support. The blueprint has worked elsewhere. We have regressed. You hear of ICDC in pockets. People talk about Kenya National Trading Corporation. It was part and parcel. How do you think they grew?
You know?
Yes, there was a government-backed institution that gave it the finances. These Eastern countries, forget the tigers. You're talking about the big countries like China. You're talking about Japan. Their government understands the involvement in business. So you cannot find a big corporation that doesn't have a government input.
And you know, to support your argument, Japan is one of the nations with the biggest external debt in the world. But that country has not felt the weight of paying that debt because they ask for money, not for government projects. They pump that money into companies producing in their countries. Toyota, whoever, name them. If there is a problem in Toyota, they know that it is going to mess their economy with almost 18%. So government puts money there to ensure that that company doesn't stop. It is very unfair that you would accept a duty-free of 125,000 tons and you cannot put up money to awake the oil refineries in costs. That is producing here. Because let me tell you, what is the beauty about having manufacturing in your own country? You are going to make sure that that farmer that grows cotton gets value for that cotton, because as long as that cotton is being processed in the country, there is a available market. You will encourage people to actually go into cotton business, and we will not have. Let me. I don't know whether you have been to area of Sultan Hamud heading to the border. Kikuyus, yes, to the what do you call the place? Not Naitaveta. Emari. The areas of Emari. Kikuyus from our place, from Limuru, Kiambu, all the way even to Kinago, have invaded that place. They are doing tomatoes. They are doing onions in large scales. Right now, it's the season for doing watermelons. There are people who are even cultivating up to 40 acres It is very virgin, thousands and thousands of acres, virgin land there. Government can invest money. The people who are buying those watermelon and onions and tomatoes, they are coming with those vehicles you see which are like cold rooms. They buy, they put it on the ships, they take it to the Middle East. You cannot satisfy the market of Middle East with those farm products because they cannot grow in their country. We keep talking about that the disparity between our import and our export. But is it the sin of those importing to our country that we have not elevated our export to the level that would match their import? Because they are importing what they have done in their country to our country. What are we exporting? So I think, if you ask me, during the days of someone who used to call F.T. Nyamo is the former MP he's the one who succeeded Wangari Maathai. Tetu. He was the former director of Agriculture Finance Corporation before becoming the member of Parliament. Those were the days when AFC used to be AFC. That City would walk into that place and give a plan on how he needs to do farming, and he will be given money without being asked so many nonsenses. Today, because City will be coming to ask for money to farm, and you are telling him to come with a title D, and where he is farming, he has risked the land, so he doesn't have the title D. How do you expect? So government must be seen to support the initiatives when we talk about that we want to support production in this country. We have said that life is very difficult and Kenyans need to put food on the table. How are we going to make sure? The only way we will make sure Kenyans put food on the table, it is when we get them to do something. Where will that something come from if government, number one, does not ease the ease of doing business for those who want to come to invest? Number two, have a fund that is supporting initiatives that are supporting farmers. Today, we have put money in pan paper. It has not worked. It is under private entity now. We put billions on Mumias. It is now on a private entity now. We put money due on KCC. We put on money. I mean, why can't we put money in places? I mean, because government are seriously. Most of these government officials I'll tell you, I am in farming, dairy farming. Our leaders in Limuru Dairy Farmers and Cooperative Society did a request to KUSAP, a World Bank supported project. The World Bank actually accepted to fund us with 100 million, but our project and proposal was 159 million. So they needed you to put the seed money of 59 million, and then they will put 100 million. So the officials went to see the previous Kiambu governor, Dr. James Nyoro, for help because we did not have 59 million. So county government was supposed to give about milk coolers of about 29 million to Limuru constituency around. So we asked them, convert this money into equity in Limuru Farmers and Dairy Cooperative, and then we will be able to raise about the remaining 29 million because that we would have. So an agreement was done, and we have World Bank ready to put 100 million. So the deadline was this January. We went and told the new governor, the Honorable Kimani Wamatangi, just write a letter to World Bank committing that the 30 million that was promised by your predecessor government will put, so that we put our investment. 29. They give us the 100 million, the project goes on as the county decides to go. That is an initiative that was read by the MP and the MCAs to his office. But that governor has not seen it necessary to write to the World Bank. As I sit here, Limuru Dairy Farmers Cooperative Union has lost a funding of 100 million shillings from World Bank. And you tell us that this county government or their government are very serious about farmers because that particular cooperative has 29,000 farmers.
What had the previous governor done to advance that conversation? What was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to put it on
So,
paper.
so what happens is
take it to the county assembly. County
yes,
assembly
yeah,
approves
no,
this.
it doesn't. Don't. It doesn't need, you see, government had already agreed that they would fund the daily farming in Limuru with coolers. One cooler is about, I think, is about 6-7 million.
And this had been appropriated.
Yes,
in the
this
budget.
has been appropriated in the budget.
Okay.
And they said we will give about 5, I think there were 5 coolers to Limuru area, because every cooperative has what you call route numbers. You come to a place where it's called the Gio, there is a route number where collection of milk is done. So for every route, there was going to be a cooler. Now, what you needed to do is convert that money that had already been appropriated for daily farming purposes, because it was not really cast on stone in the budget appropriation that it is
going to be
specifically
for
for coolers. It was a support initiative for daily farming. So they just needed to convert that money. Instead of buying coolers, they invest in value-adding machines within the Limuru processor. I don't know whether I've come across milk called Limuru Fresh.
Yes.
That is where they were to invest. Because if you have a company that is processing milk every day, then you don't need coolers, because coolers are put if you don't have anywhere to take the milk. So it is picked and sold to other companies that are doing value addition. But because now we would invest in our own company, which went under during President Uhuru's regime, we would have now invested that money there. And in fact, we were supposed to collect about 25,000 liters of milk more to be able to feed.
What I'm asking is, Peter,
yes,
because we can understand all that.
Yes.
So, governor.
Yes.
It is not the name. It is the office of governor.
The office of the governor.
Office of governor.
Yes.
And the county executive.
Yes.
Already decides that this is our program.
Yes.
We are going to support milk farmers
yes.
in Limuru.
Yes.
Takes that to the county assembly.
Yes.
County assembly approves and in fact appropriates money
yes.
towards that.
Yes.
The MCA, members of parliament, the community goes to the governor and they say, instead, our need is not cooler.
Yes.
Our need is this.
Yes.
And the same amount of money that has been appropriated would fit into this project.
Yes.
Governor okays that.
Yes.
By okaying that, does the governor sign a piece of paper, a decree? What does the governor do by saying?
As a matter of fact, that working agreement is signed by the CEC of Agriculture on behalf of the governor, because he is the person in charge.
And that was supposed to have been in the current financial year's budget.
It was supposed to actually be in the financial year of 2022. 2023.
This one.
This one that we are.
Okay.
That agreement was signed and agreed upon by the Honorable Governor Nyoro.
Okay.
Who was the governor then.
So
we were given a deadline of up to January. About, I can't remember the actual date, but it is within the month of January. When we realized the deadline is approaching and county government has not yet committed to what we agreed upon, we sent a delegation that involved our committee, the member of parliament, the current member of parliament, and all the 5 MCAs from the Limuru constituency. We said, go to the current governor. Maybe somebody has not reminded him that there exists an agreement between Limuru Dairy Cooperative and the county government, and see where it is. So before we went there, we had written to the World Bank. And they had agreed, if county can commit to pay the 30 million that they committed to give, we will allow you to put your money and we will get you the 100 million as long as we have a committal letter from the county government.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is what we sent the committee led by the area member of parliament, Engineer John Kirago, to do at the governor's office. And they did that meeting. As a matter of fact, the Governor Kimani Wamatangi undertook to write that letter the following day. What is sad is that a day to the deadline, we decided to pop into World Bank to see whether that letter has been written. Only to be surprised, there has never been a correspondence between the current administration and the World Bank. And unfortunately, the parameters set for KUSA programs cannot be usurped by the fact that our county has failed. So, today as we are speaking, World Bank is somewhere trying to reallocate 100 million to other viable projects because we have a governor who is seated in office who sought to help Kenyans. Because let me tell you the magnitude of the project. Other than the 20,000 liters of milk that currently Muru Daily Farmers Cooperative correct, we would have to correct almost the same amount or more than that amount to make it 40,000 liters every day to feed into the needs of the magnitude at which Limuru Fresher would be producing and processing milk. So that meant that we would create stations outside Limuru. In Kabete.
So you would have bought milk from areas
Kabete,
outside.
We had already started working on it in Kabete, in Limuru, in Gatondo North and Gatondo South, because it is easier to correct milk from Gatondo North and South and connect the rural area and come to Limuru, or that area where farming is rapidly, because we were not touching the area of Githongori because they already have Githongori Fresher, which is uptaking all their milk. This would have had a ripple effect in an extra 9 wards that are outside Limuru constituency, meaning we would have increased the farmers who are benefiting from 22,000 to almost 40,000 farmers, directly or indirectly.
All it needed was a letter of commitment.
Just a letter of commitment to the World Bank that the county committed to seed 30 million shillings into this project. I mean, and somebody is sitting pretty and waking up every morning and promising people of Kiambu heaven.
And
What a shame.
There was an option to
There
do
was an
something
option
about
to
it.
do
To
it.
actually deliver heaven.
So let me tell you, when we say, and I say this, having supported the Kenya Kwanza government and having supported the current president should not turn anybody into a sycophant. As much as you have some value or some stake in the government, learn to tell your truths, because those are the truths that are hurting our people on the ground. We have written to the Minister of Cooperatives, the CS Cooperatives, Cherugui on this matter, because it is a shame a governor who was overwhelmingly elected by the people to come and bring change. And we are not telling you to give us your money. We are telling you to give us part of the tax that we pay, our money. So I will say this on SpiceFM, the Honorable Governor Amatangi, from the Limuru people and those who do dairy farming in Kenya, feel ashamed. These are the things we are saying. We will keep saying, we will keep shouting. I mean, there are people who would expect that when you come to this show, because you are seen to be inclined to a certain side, you will come and sing a song of what they call a lap dance. We will not do it, and our people are suffering. Because let me tell you, can you imagine if we have actualized that project today? You are saying that you would have hundreds and hundreds of young people who would be doing milk vendoring of milk fresh. They are farmers who would get value for their money and what they farm. So we will tell government, when we feel that government is not working for the interest of Wanjiko, we will see it. Because the best friend you can have as a governor, the best friend you can have as a president, is someone who is telling you the truth right on your face. And I'll tell you right now, the conversation that is happening both nationally and county-wise is not inspiring hope. It is not inspiring.
It's not connecting with
it
those
is not
in the
connecting
village.
with those in the village, because even investor is coming to the village to invest. I think it is the onus of county government help that someone set up shop and uptake people who would otherwise become your problem.
That's true.
And they will help you. So it is the onus
That
of
example you've given us.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah.
We will look for.
And I will even send you. I will before I leave
Give us
studio. I
all
will
the-
send you the letter
documentation
that we
behind
did
this.
to the county, the communications we did with the county government.
Yes.
Because some of us are very allergic to hearsays. We only want to speak about facts.
Oh, yes. We want all the information.
Yes.
So that then when we invite the county government of Kiambu,
yes,
when we invite your senator,
yes,
and your member of parliament,
yes,
and your MCAs, Those are the questions.
I think
we'll
you
be asking.
can because the senator, the women lab, the governor never showed up. But because we have already started production in small way, we had invited all of them. The senator came, the women lab came, the governor did not come. They know the
project.
The project we are
Peter
talking
Mushendo.
about. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. Somebody's asking, what's your Twitter handle?
Governor Mushendo. Now, Governor is
Governor Mushendo.
Yes.
Okay.
Aspiration.
Yes,
GAVNA or governor?
No. The
full
entire governor.
Okay.
Nini dash Mushendo.
All right.
Yes.
Peter Mushendo is a governance expert. He's been our guest this morning. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing. It's now 10 a.m.
Spice up your life